that the supervisors, staffs, and everybody needs training on are some of our recent findings. For example, we have found repeatedly that information that Mr. Warfield was seeking about the contact information for people that would be part of a coalition of like-minded people. He could get this information from members of the public who contacted their supervisor. I mean, this is very important for them and for citizen involvement to work. So I think our finding that this type of information should not be redacted, I think staff here need to know about that, need to know about some of our other findings, because we're going to keep, finding the same thing over and over again. So I'm just proposing, I guess I'd like to make a motion to refer this matter to Education, Outreach, and Training, but make it a broader invitation. And so.
Is there a second?
There you go.
Sorry, it's a second. I'm sorry. Oh, should I undo my second?
Well, I just wanted to comment very quickly, and I do agree with your motion. But Mr. Warfield said that intent wasn't necessary or an important factor. While intent isn't necessary for finding a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance, I agree. I think intent is a factor we can look at when we determine whether the referral should be done to the education and training, or whether it should be to ethics. So I think intent there is very important, and I was looking for something or someone to show me that there was a type of corrupt type of intent there, or defraud type of intent in restraining the information. While the one supporter did mention that, I just didn't see enough of that there. Had I seen some of that there, then I might be more inclined to refer to ethics, but I saw none of that there.
Great. It has been moved and seconded by Member Washburn to refer this to the Education Outreach Committee in a broader sense, everything. Is there any public comment on this from someone that hasn't spoken on this topic yet? If not, then I'd like to take a vote. Roll call vote. Thanks.
Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. David?
Aye.
David, aye. Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Grant?
Aye.
He's 7 ayes.
The matter is concluded. This will go to Education Outreach, be referred there. Madam Clerk. Thank you. Can you read the next item on the agenda, please?
Item number 3, file number 12019, complaint filed by the Library Users Association against the Arts Commission for allegedly inappropriate redactions of content information from supporters of retention of the existing Bernal Heights Branch Library, Victor Jara Multicultural Mural, and others from information provided to the Library Users Association.
Can you talk about the matter of jurisdiction? Is it being contested, or who is this? Arts Commission and Peter Warfield. Is there a contestant of jurisdiction by either party? Mr. Ward, can you come up to the microphone? Thank you.
Yes, first of all, the complaint is by Library Users Association, which I had, and there's no objection, obviously, to finding jurisdiction.
Great. The Arts Commission, is there any? Great, thank you. I'm going to,
Move to find jurisdiction.
is there a second?
Second.
Great. If there's no objection, I'm going to declare this motion passed without objection. Okay. Will the Library Users Association, that's Warfield, come forward and present his case? You get 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you. If you could give me a 1-minute warning, I'd appreciate it. I'm Peter Warfield, Executive Director of Library Users Association, and this is a complaint we filed March 20th, 2012. This is a complaint about inappropriate redactions of contact information from supporters of retention of the existing Bernal Heights Branch Library, Victor Hara Multicultural Historic Mural, and others by the Arts Commission from information provided to Library Users Association. And we request a prompt hearing. In response to Library Users Association's immediate disclosure request sent the evening of March 19, 2012, the Arts Commission, through Kate Patterson, replied March 20, 2012, with a number of communications from which were redacted contact information such as email addresses. The redactions occurred in multiple places, including all contact information from several of those who had sent letters supporting retention/restoration of the Bernal Heights Branch Library mural as it currently exists, and opposing removal and replacement. For your information, we provide the Arts Commission response to our IDR, including its entire attachment, totaling approximately 18 pages. We particularly draw your attention to the redaction of contact information for supporters of retaining the existing mural. Tita Caldwell, pages 6 to 7, Linda Bagel, pages 8 to 9, and Cheryl Trepanier, pages 10 to 11. There are additional redactions related to Arts Commission members and others. We request a prompt hearing and note that the Sunshine Task Force's 7-0 decision earlier this month in our favor regarding unlawful speaker card redactions by the Arts Commission appears not to have had an effect on the Arts Commission's response to this information request. We followed up once this was scheduled with a letter January 9th, 2013. We ask you to find the Arts Commission in violation, and that's on your page 46. We ask you to find the Arts Commission in violation of Sunshine for redacting contact information from emails provided to us in response to an immediate disclosure request. The redactions were primarily from supporters of retaining and refreshing the Victor Hara community-created mural on the Bernal Heights Branch Library and from members of the Arts Commission. We believe there is no statutory justification for the withholding. A specific statute is required to be cited, allowing or requiring withholding. The Sunshine Ordinance Task Force has on numerous previous occasions found that withholding contact information was unlawful. These cases included several filed and won by Library Users Association. They include complaints number 12001 concerning speaker card contact information, and number 12007, emails sent and received by Supervisor David Campos. The effect of the withholding was to interfere with our ability to promptly inform supporters and others about the facts regarding the Victor Hara mural, which the Arts Commission had voted to approve destroying and replacing. Its additional effect was to make its own people information prisoners from the public. Library Users Association appreciates the time and effort you've expended on this matter. So the redactions include
1 minute.
Thank you. Include who material was sent to. We were asking about a very confined time period, so the entire answer of the Arts Commission was just 18 pages. But here we have redaction of commissioners' email addresses. I don't see how that's personal information. And here we have redaction of email information from somebody at something to, and then others who are not redacted, like the head of the Arts Commission administratively, the mayor, and so on. And a response from the Arts Commission to a member of the public, which showed the email address. While they talk about the importance of private information being redacted, this letter was sent by a supporter of the existing mural with a copy to library users 2004@yahoo.com. That's us. So they redacted what this person sent to us and what they sent to her, presumably over privacy considerations. I think that's pretty ridiculous.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the public that wants to introduce facts or evidence in support of Mr. Warfield, the Library Users Association? If not, then will the Arts Commission representative come up? You'll have 5 minutes to give us.
For us, this is pretty straightforward. Good evening, first of all. Obviously, we were here last time, and the issue
Please identify yourself.
I'm Kate Patterson. I'm the Director of Communications for the San Francisco Arts Commission.
Thank you.
So I think the fundamental difference in this case for us was the speaker cards, for example, were, as you decided, they were presented at a public hearing, and therefore they were public. But these were emails to me and other members of the staff from private individuals who were not only expressing their feelings in support of the Bernal Heights mural, but also against the Bernal Heights mural. And we did not, we redacted all the private information of both parties. We did not seek to hide or obscure or separate those in support of the mural in favor of some agenda on our part. It was very general and equal across the board. And I think that, our office thinks that there's you set a bad precedent when private individuals email you with any number of concern, and that anyone in the public can get their private contact information. And with regard to the commissioners, those emails were redacted because they are private emails of the commissioners, and they don't have a commission email address that is specifically for the public. That is something that we're sort of looking into because it's come up a number of times, and they are public figures, and so it makes sense for them to have a public email address. But at this time, those were personal email addresses that were redacted. And so, again, we cited the California Constitution right to privacy, Article 1, Section 1. So we gave reason for those redactions. And again, it wasn't to withhold information or obstruct Mr. Warfield in his efforts to preserve the mural. It was really just to protect the individual of those private citizens. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Is there any member of the public here that would like to present some facts or evidence in support of the Arts Commission? If not, then I would like to open it up to Member Nee.
Ms. Patterson, please. Before redacting the personal information, did you ask the people if they wanted it redacted?
No.
Thank you.
Ms.
David?
Patterson, sorry. So I'm curious about, you made a comment about the members of the Art Commission, that their emails, it's their private email addresses.
Oh, it's the commissioners.
The
yeah.
commissioners, right, the commissioners. So if a member of the public wants to send an email to the commissioners, how does one go about doing that? Is there a process in place to send information? Like, how does
Sure.
one get information to commissioners?
Sure, yeah, so it happened a number of times, and, we just forward it on to them.
So it gets sent to...
It gets sent to them.
And it gets sent to basically you or someone...
Or the commission secretary, most
and then this-
likely,
and
and
then-
then she sends it off.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sounds like what Ms. Osbury does for us.
Did you have a comment?
I was just, actually had a question, Ms. Osbury. Is that similar to what you do for us when someone wants to contact us? You forward the emails to us? Because we don't give out our personal emails. I'm just clarification here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just stating that because it's something that seems to be, that's the methodology behind it, or the process.
Are there any more comments or questions? No?
My name is Paula Dader.
Excuse me, this isn't the time for public comment.
It's not public comment, it's relative to this issue.
But as a member of the public, we're still kind of finishing. If there are no more questions, I will call for public comment in one moment on this issue. So we haven't gotten to that point yet. So
It's just a matter of the order of procedure, ma'am.
It's
We
procedural.
want to hear from you at the appropriate time.
Don't walk too far. Hey, now you can come on.
If there are no more comments here, I'd like to let Mr. Ms. Patterson offer a rebuttal. You have 3 minutes or what?
Oh, facts and
I
evidence.
asked, there was no one that was here for. Were you, I'm sorry, ma'am, were you speaking about facts in support of Ms. Patterson and the Arts Commission? That's, if not. Okay, so hold that thought. And Ms. Patterson, if you'd like to come and offer some concluding words or a rebuttal to the Library Users Association, you have 3 minutes to do that.
Again, the Bernal Heights mural, Bernal Heights Library mural issue spanned many Arts Commission meetings. It definitely went through a long process and a very public process. We at the Arts Commission, again, our intent was never to obstruct Mr. Warfield in his efforts. It was fundamentally to protect those private individuals who emailed us with their concerns about an issue. If you look through the document, you'll see that it wasn't just the people in favor of keeping the mural, but it was also those who were against it. So again, it has to do with protecting the rights of the privacy rights of individuals.
Great, thank you. Mr. Warfield, you two have 3 minutes for rebuttal or conclusion.
If you could give me a 30-second warning, I'd appreciate it. It's interesting that Member Sims is interested in some cases with regard to intent, and we hear now again from Ms. Patterson that there wasn't any intent. Intent is a very difficult thing to show and certainly to prove. And if Mr. Sims had raised that question earlier, or anybody else, or the law, then I think it could have been addressed, and I'm disappointed that it wasn't earlier. There's plenty of intent. There's plenty of intent, and I don't really want to go into it except to say that we've won multiple, at least half a dozen cases of one violation after another by the Arts Commission, particularly with respect to this matter. The library and the Arts Commission and Supervisor Campos's office did a great deal to obstruct the ability of folks to understand what was going on, to understand what even the meaning of the mural was, and to particularly prevent even their own people from getting information from members of the public who might provide them something that wasn't the official party line. And it is not adequate to have the administrator send forward information that somebody might want to give to a member of a body or a commissioner. And I can assure you that there have been things that we have sent to your administrator requesting it be forwarded, and they have not been forwarded. Again, there's no question about intent, but if Ms. Fisher or Mr. David or anybody else wants to be available to the public, whether they're walking down the street or in email, that's the way folks can reach you directly, through mail or through email. Ms. Patterson says that this was equally applied to opponents of the existing mural. There are no opponents to the existing mural in this packet. All of the folks writing were members all of the folks who expressed an opinion were supporters of the existing mural, just a factual thing. But whether they're supporters or opponents, it's a public issue, and the law requires a specific citation. And I don't believe that the Arts Commission's citation of Article 1, Section 1 is specific. The law actually contains many specific exemptions to disclosure. And I believe that those are what is required. Both the Sunshine Ordinance and the state law have very many specific exemptions. And those exemptions never mention that a commissioner's email or a member of the public's email can or must be redacted when it's been requested. And so I urge you to find the Arts Commission in violation. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to find a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance? Member Nee?
Madam Chair, I move that we find the Arts Commission in violation of Section 67.26, for failure to keep withholding to a minimum, and that our order of determination instruct the respondent to provide the information unredacted.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Member Nee?
Yeah, if I might just discuss it for a second, the task force has consistently held that personal information is public when it involves the conduct of the public's business. If a person requests that personal information be withheld, certainly that's the person's right, and it should be observed, particularly under the relevant section of the state constitution, and particularly if there is concern for that person's personal security. But we have heard the respondent state that no such request came forward from any of the people about whom the information was provided. Therefore, I think the default here lies with even though I can't pronounce it, the default lies with disclosure.
Member David?
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with Member Nee on this issue. I think this is a really interesting issue, and I kind of feel like that this is one of these issues where reasonable people can disagree. It seems to me that the last thing we want to be doing as an organization is creating a disincentive for the public to be communicating with their elected officials. And I think placing the burden on the public to specifically request that their private information not be made public, that just seems like a high burden to me. I know that in the past, this task force seems like that it has kind of ruled in the other direction pretty consistently, but we are a new group of people, and I do not see the value in making the public go out of its way to say, please don't make my email address public.
Member Nee?
I don't see this as a burden on the public. I see it as a responsibility on the part of respondent agencies and commissions to notify members of the public that they have that option of keeping their personal information withheld. But in this case, the respondent has not met that responsibility.
Member Oka?
Yes, let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. Bear with me. I think we have to understand that information that is not specifically requested by the member of the public that does not wish to have his or her information divulged is public and can be obtained federally through the Freedom of Information Act. And in our case, I think unless specific requests are made to withhold that information, their information from the public, in that case, we should honor that. But in all other instances where they're participating in a public process, which I believe this is, then I respectfully and definitely disagree with Member David. So I think we should go ahead and find the Arts Commission in violation.
Member Fisher?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Threet, actually, and we may need you, Ms. Patterson, on this. Ms. Patterson had referred to something, a statute of privacy or something from, I don't know, our Constitution or whatever. It flew right over my head. Could Mr. Threet clarify that, or what?
Through the chair to Member Fisher, Ms. Patterson was referring to Article 1 of the California Constitution, which is the provision that protects the privacy of California citizens. And that provision is further illuminated mostly through case law because it's a fairly general provision of the Constitution. It's very similar in many ways to the U.S. Constitution protections for privacy, but it goes a bit further. It's a bit more protective, and it's also it becomes a very fact-specific analysis because what is protected is a reasonable expectation of privacy. It's not all expectations of privacy, no matter how unreasonable they may be by the individual. So I also wanted to just add that in the cases that have looked at these issues, both the California cases and the federal cases looking at Freedom of Information Act, it's also been a very fact-specific analysis that is undertaken. For instance, there is a federal case that looked at disclosure of email addresses for constituents contacting a congressman that held that those were private and that they should not be disclosed because they did not serve the core purpose of the Freedom of Information Act to illuminate the inner workings of government. But, you know, that was something that was looked at very closely in the context in which it arose. So it's really not possible to give a black and white answer that applies to all of these cases. You really have to look very closely at what purposes will be served by disclosing the information in question, and what are the privacy interests, and are they reasonable? And I should say also, I've said this in the past, and it's something that the task force may want to consider in terms of education and outreach, is that if the departments would, or the city in general, would adopt a policy where they clearly announce to the public whether the information is treated as confidential or treated as public, that would be very helpful in establishing the expectations of those members.
And one more minute here. I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming at. I mean, this is, as you just stated, it's like, doesn't seem like, I mean, the law and the Talmud, two things that are just full of gray area. You know, you can just argue it back and forth. And I think I'm just going to continue in this ping pong match between Member Nee to Member David to Member Oka. I'm really torn on this because I'm, without what you said, a clear delineation that your information is going to be shared. I too am worried that this is going to backfire and people are going to be held back. I mean, was this perfect? Were there things done wrong? Yeah, I know, but I'm inclined to lean towards privacy in this case. So I've just smacked the ping pong ball back.
Member Washburn?
Well, when I first joined the task force about 5 years ago, I felt similarly to Member Fisher and Member David, because I had the personal experience of being contacted by members of the public when it became known that I was going to be on the task force. So I was a little surprised when I was contacted, actually called at home on a Saturday morning. But over the years, I've been thinking quite a bit differently about this matter. And I agree that we need to do some education, outreach, and training and help city agencies, develop some policies that serve the public better. And I think we're all becoming used to, for example, on, all sorts of websites and things that we join all the time, petitions we sign, everything we do on the internet, being asked if it's okay if they send us information or they assure us our information will not be given. So these are things we think about daily. But I think if we, in this particular case, which to me is very similar to a number of others we've considered recently, if we look at the specifics, okay, what is happening here is a group of members of the public are involved in a very public process looking at this mural that's fate is in question. And what they're trying to do is to work together, contact each other, build coalitions, work effectively as citizens in a public process to come to a decision about something. And so in this case, it's important that they contact each other, that they be able to contact each other. And, particularly when everybody contacting the supervisor's office clearly are supporting this mural. And, in this case, it makes no sense to withhold that information. I would think they would all be happy. Yeah, let me know who else is working on this issue. So in this case, I think to me, it's pretty straightforward that this information was, that these members of the public had no expectation that, that they were weighing in on something very personal and specific to themselves and wouldn't want, their views on this to be known. So I think if we adopt the principle that DCA 3 is saying and look at the specifics, I think in this case it's pretty cut and dry.
Member Sims?
I appreciate the healthy debate everyone has gone through. I do fall in line more with Member Nee, Oka, and Washburn here. I think, with the exception of that, I think there is more leeway in when information can be withheld. I don't think that there was any reasoning to withhold in this circumstance, but I don't believe that there is a blanket rule that would allow the information to be received under all circumstances with no exceptions. I don't think Member Nee was saying that, but I guess my exceptions would be a little broader than his exceptions. But the public, if they did not want their information shared or released, or they could have identified that and explained that in their email. I think there is more of a chance of the chilling effect on free speech for not disclosing it than to disclosing it. In my belief, I believe that the public will will alter their ways and continue to contact their publicly elected officials and the government. And I believe that the individuals that are requesting this information will likewise continue to request this information for their needs, which include addressing the government. And I think that was the situation here. That's why it seems like that was many of the reasons why this information was needed. And I would second Member Nee's motion. Wait, was it Member Nee's motion? Yes.
I know.
Your motion?
It was already second. Did you second it?
Actually, you seconded
It had already been
I
seconded.
tried to be.
Then we start. And comment. Are there any more comments or questions? I'm just thinking I just personally am kind of leaning towards listening to what Jerry just said and listening to your Member Washburn's comments and Member David's comments. I kind of lean towards Member David and the expectation of privacy and the idea that it's a case-by-case basis and what is it. My expectation, if I went somewhere and was a commissioner and filled out a card, maybe the Arts Commission might be able to be that conduit to get the information that I want out there. If I want my email out there, I don't know if I want my cell phone out there. I don't want people necessarily maybe calling me, the public calling me without, so as a member of the public, the expectation is, it varies from person to person, unless there is some rule out there that each one of these commissions that's not out there in the city government right now. I feel like it's just, it's not a blanket right now, and the burden is on the government to do that, which has not implemented these kinds of things. And it's such a case-by-case thing that it is a gray area. And I'm listening to you, and maybe I'm at the beginning of serving in this capacity, but I feel like my expectation is that there are certain things that should be public and there's certain things that should be private, or it's up to me to make that determination. I don't expect if I fill out a card and put all my information and I give it to someone in the Arts Commission that's going to be public, for every item on there. It's kind of a bit of a gray area for me. That being said, Member Nee.
Again, this is about the conduct of the public's business.
Mm-hmm.
And unless there is a very narrowly defined exemption, in this case there is not, unless there is very narrowly defined, specifically defined exemption, the default goes with disclosure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair. Are there any more comments here? If not, are there any public comments on this particular issue? Hi.
My name is Paula Dadish, and I have more than a 20-year association with the San Francisco Arts Commission as an artist in the street artist program, in and out of it, mostly out of it because there are a lot of problems. I can speak from personal experience that over the years, I've gone up in the office or I've called, they never pick up the phone, and asked, is it possible to communicate with the commissioner? Is it possible to make my feelings known? Is it possible to write a letter and have it entered into a public meeting? And I was always screamed at, no, you cannot contact commissioners. It was made very clear to me over many, many years. I actually, in 2008, an issue that I was here for today, I actually went out of my way. You can Google these people on the internet, and if there's a way, that you desperately want to contact somebody, you might find an email and you might say, I'm sorry to have to contact you, but I respectfully request that you read this, and that kind of thing. I didn't do it often, once or twice, but I was yelled at repeatedly for that. There is a small thing on their website, very small, that if you wanted to contact, they're not elected, they're appointed, that if you wanted to contact them, you could send a letter to the office. I've done that in the past, and it never reaches them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi again, I'm Cynthia Stravetnik with the San Francisco Preservation Consortium. First, I'd ask that my prior comment on the importance of the mural and the timeliness of disclosure of information from the prior item be included in this item. Second, I think what we're talking about here is in absentia public testimony on an item being heard by a city commission, and it is coming in asynchronous at a different time. That happens more and more as people are busy and can't attend commission meetings. And that is public testimony on an agenda item. And that is clearly how decisions are made and debated and so forth and should be disclosed. And finally, I think any commissioner on any city commission, whether they are appointed or what have you, should be available to the public, and that the city should provide an email for all commissioners, including this task force, with an @sfgov.org address, so that you are accessible and the work that you do is transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments? If not, then I'd like to take a vote. I'd like to take a roll call vote. Can you state, just so it's been a while,
Yeah.
can you state the motion?
Yeah, I don't even know if we're yes or no anymore.
Okay. Yep, I have a question on it also, but my member needs, seconded by Wash, the violation 6726, failure to keep to a minimum, and,
Failure to keep withholding to a minimum.
okay, and I need the basis of that, wasn't stated?
Well, that is the basis, failure to keep withholding to a minimum.
Through the chair, I think the administrator is asking for a finding of fact to support the violation.
Oh, okay. For unauthorized, unrequested redactions of information from requested public records.
Thank you. And also in the order determination for the Arts Commission to provide documents unredacted.
Correct.
That's the motion.
I'm sorry, Member Nee, so is your motion also you referred it to compliance?
My motion doesn't refer to it. That's usually the call of the chair
Okay,
to refer
okay, I'm going
to a committee.
to do that, okay. Can we call for roll call vote?
Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. David?
No.
David, no. Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
No.
Fisher, no. Grant?
No.
Grant, no. You have 4 ayes and 3 noes.
The motion failed.
passed.
The motion failed.
I'm sorry, the motion failed. The matter is concluded. We are supposed to now do public comment. I'd like to take a poll. Would you guys like to take a quick break, or would you like to go straight to public comment? I'm good for public.
It's public comment now?
Yes.
Am I reading this wrong? We just did the users. It's public comment now.
You guys are good? Okay. If you guys are good, then if there's any public comment on any items that are not on the agenda for tonight, please come forward. And
How many
there's no
minutes do
public
they have?
comment?
That's the first, I think.
No, there's, no,
How many minutes does he get?
for Warfield.
2 minutes?
Since it looks like you're the only person for public comment tonight, I will give you 3 minutes tonight to speak.
Peter Warfield, Executive Director of Library Users Association. I don't know if previously there's been a change in the direction of outcomes, but it looks like tonight you've managed to make the effect of your rule change from a previous meeting, have a bite. I think it's, as I said at the time, a very big burden for the public to have to get a supermajority of those present to get an action in favor of their complaint. you did discuss this at some length with many members of the public present, and urging you to consider the injustice that that rule change would or might inflict on the public. One of the things that was said by a member who's present today was almost a guarantee, certainly an assurance, that surely all the members of this body would be present at all the meetings, and therefore the practical impact of that rule change would be minimal to none. As certainly I pointed out at the time, and others I think may have done, it's impossible to control everything, and even with the best of intentions, people get sick, there are vacancies that are unfilled, and a whole variety of reasons why there might not be a full complement of members present. So today, we have 2 work-related absences, we were told, an illness, and the task force is present with 1 vacancy, numbering 7 members. And that means that the public will lose its case unless it gets a gigantic supermajority, which certainly in any democratic vote is considered pretty much impossible. And that is, in a 7-person attendance, you'd have to get 6 out of the 7 members. Now, Alan Grossman has talked about this, and I do think that his approach may be a good one, and that is, if you want to retain the unfortunate way in which you've changed the rule, you might follow the spirit of the law and require the withholdings and other similar things to be justified by the respondent, so that if you don't get a vote in favor of the complainant, you would presumably still not get a vote in favor of the respondent, and the resulting action would be the reverse of what you have under the current rules. I hope you consider that very strongly. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment for tonight? Great. Then I would like to, if we were on agreement, move on to the next item on the agenda.
Madam Chair, could we ask for a brief break?
Okay. We'll take a 10-minute break, and we will come back at 7:20. Thank you.
I'll keep going.
I would have kept going, but...
Basement? Check that out.
Is it?
I did bring snacks, but I didn't bring as much as I
jerky?
probably wanted or should have.
Were you eating beef jerky?
I was eating beef jerky. I was eating some beef jerky. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I brought enough snacks. Yes. Huh? Paul. I salads. No, I did salads. I got the salad from oh God, where is it? Safeway.
Those are from Safeway?
Mm-hmm. They have a good little salad.
Oh, wow.
And it's much. It's
Cheaper
it's
than-
$4 and then going to mixed greens, which is like $10.
Going to where?
Mixed greens.
Exactly. Do you look at these games?
Mm-hmm.
The one on Spirit?
No, there's one on oh God, where's it at? There's one on Samsung.
Oh, down Financial District.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Hey. So what's going to happen with the
Oh.
You have to put that on your resume now? I know. It's crazy. That is crazy. That is. Oh, Al, yeah. And Peace. And who? Oh. Oh, I didn't know. Money talks. Make it positive. Okay. But aren't you moving your? Are they moving the headquarters? Well, you know, it's not so much. Yeah, it's not. It's just that it's America's so. You know, we're closed-minded. We just don't know. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be a new company, yeah. Totally. Okay, I'm gonna run downstairs. I'll be back.
I'm like, please do, look at all these illnesses, and everybody feel better.
Now, I'm fine. My son is really sick. I think he's got,
The flu, the bug going around.
he has fever and just sounded really bad. He's going to the
Doctor?
doctor, yeah.
You have to, like, if you catch, you're gonna catch him too. So,
He said he started feeling bad Monday morning, but,
is he here? He's here.
yeah. He lives
Does he
in
live with
Danville.
you?
Huh?
Oh, he doesn't live with you.
No.
Okay.
No, he's
Ground.
grown with
But,
a wife and
but
daughter. and-
maybe he was there,
Uh-uh.
so, you know. Everyone's sick.
Oh my God,
He was at the game on Sunday, and I said, maybe you just party too much. He
Yeah,
said,
exactly.
well,
I'm feeling
he said,
no
I did
sympathy."
party a lot, but that's
Yeah, exactly.
not what was wrong.
No sympathy here. You know? Mm. I'm trying to avoid it. Here's what it is. We're on 5 now?
Does that mean that NFA
Madam
comes
Clerk?
and present to our?
You just sent me that thing about the education outreach just to let me know, right? Because I'm not on that committee, right?
Hey, let's talk about
The education outreach, when you were sending me the email, I'm not on it. You were just letting me know.
That's
Oh, okay.
a little
I was like,
confusing.
did I sign up for two
referred to the committee.
Well, the committee, the committee takes the lead.
Okay.
Okay, the committee schedules the matter, puts it up.
Date, when the board voted on this?
There's one letter that went to the board that referred to the March 22nd version, saying that it was okay as to form. It was not commenting on the one that changed out substantive issues, including the exclusion of all these housing projects. So my question for Mr. Powers is, does he have some documentation from the State Historic Preservation Officer approving what the board finally voted on? Is that what he said? I didn't understand what he said. Thank you.
Okay. Member Nee?
Mr. Powers, please. Okay, you heard Ms. Cervetnik say that she requested the initial submission from the planning, on the planning code amendments on, first on March 21st, 2012, and then again on March 22nd, And you told us that it was not available to you at that time, correct? You said you had not received it?
At the time that she made the initial request, we did not.
Okay, what about on the 22nd?
So I don't remember the exact dates, but yes, I do not believe that we had the legislation at the time that she had it, which is why I made the recommendation to her to wait until we received it from the Planning Commission.
Okay, but
again, this was, 9 months ago.
the clerk of the board received it on the 22nd. You didn't know that? Your office was uninformed that the clerk of the board had received it on the 22nd?
So the date that I have in my chronology here is that on the March 27th is when we introduced the legislation.
That wasn't my question. My question was, when did you first become aware that the board clerk had received the document?
It was after Ms. Cervetnik's request for the documentation, that I recall.
Were you aware of it on the 22nd that the clerk had received the document?
To be totally honest with you, I do not remember 2 emails coming from Ms. Cervetnik. It's quite possible that there were 2, but my response to her after the initial email was to stay in touch with the clerk of the board.
Okay, now, you said that you became aware of it or you introduced it for filing on March 27th, is that correct?
That is when we introduced the legislation.
And did you at that time provide a copy of it to Ms. Cervetnik?
I think, again, I put her in contact with the clerk's office.
That wasn't my question. Did you?
So no, I did not.
You did not. Did you provide her a copy within the 10 days required by the Sunshine Ordinance?
So her request to me was for a document that we did not have at the time that the request was made.
You said you had it as of the 27th, correct?
As of the 27th.
Did you record? Did you provide it within 10 days of the 20 after the 27th?
She did not make a request on the 27th for the document.
She had already made it on the 22nd.
But she made a request for a document that we did not have at the time of the request.
But when you did have it, you're saying, once you did have it, you don't think it was you had a responsibility to provide it?
I am not saying that I did not have I'm not going to opine on that. In retrospect, I should have sent her that document. But she did not make a request for any future documents that came to our office.
Thank you.
Sure.
Member Oka?
I find this very troubling because the request was made for the document which you had on March 27th, and it's my belief that the consortium should not have had to request a second time. It's the same document, and I'm confused. Did the consortium approve the final version, or did you even? Apparently, the consortium never saw the legislation before the board passed it. And that concerned me.
Who's your Member Oka? Would you like Mr. Powers to respond?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Powell.
So the consortium is a private entity. They are not affiliated with the city in any way. So I cannot say whether they received the legislation or not. I did subsequent in the chronology. I did send them information, and they had. But so I cannot say whether they saw the final version or not. They are a non-city entity, so I cannot opine on that.
That's what I'm getting at, though, sir, because that should have been provided to the consortium without them having to request it over again. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand your point, yes.
Madam Chair.
Attorney Threet?
Through the chair, just for the information of the task force, I wanted to point out on pages 105 and 106 are the emails from Ms. Cervetnik to Elisa Miller, who I think is a deputy clerk of the board, and also copying Supervisor Wiener's office, and those are the exchanges that happened.
Member Washburn?
For those of us who don't have the paper copies but have the electronic copies, could you tell us what page of the item to look?
It's 105 on the full agenda. That's
Well, we don't have those numbers. We just have page numbers for the item.
Try,
Does your item number start with the cover page, or? Yes. Okay, so let's.
mine has a page number at the bottom.
So it's page 30 and 31 then?
I downloaded this from our site. This is what he's talking
page
about.
11
right?
of 64. Try that.
Madam Chair, I just want to ask a
Renee?
quick, I'd like to ask just a quick question while we're waiting of
Yes.
Ms. Servetnik. Quick yes or no answer. Was your request an immediate disclosure request?
I believe it, I would have to look at it, so I don't recall.
Okay, thank you.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
My question is whether it was the request was an immediate disclosure request.
I believe it was probably not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Initially, may I just add that we got
Yes.
everything we requested by April 27th, but the public hearing was on April 30th, and it was an adequate time for us to analyze the key question, what was different between the date the SHPO approved it, March 22nd, and the April 24 and 26 version. So we couldn't analyze that.
Thank you.
This was the response from...
Just give us 1 moment.
I don't think so.
So, Ms. Sverdnik, I apologize if I butchered your name. I'm sorry about that.
Servetnik.
Servetnik.
Sit down, sir.
Thank you.
Vetnik.
So I'm just reading the email, and it looks like that you had a correspondence with
Elisa Miller. Right.
Right, where she responded to you requesting more specific information as to which piece of legislation you're looking for.
Yes.
And then I don't see a email response from you back to her in the records. And so I'm
It
just...
might be something that you click on, but we acknowledge we received everything we requested by April 27, but the hearing was on April 30th. And it takes more time than that to look at two sections of the planning code and what did Supervisor Wiener change between March 22nd, when the SHPO opined, and those final versions.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any more questions or comments from the task force members? Do you need a little bit more time? Member Washburn? Or you want, okay. If they're not, then I would, oh, okay. I would like to ask the respondent to come up for a rebuttal or a conclusion. You have 3 minutes if you'd like to use that.
So in the interest of everyone's time, I will not say anything that I haven't said already, but we provided, or through the clerk's office, provided all the information that was requested from the complainant when we had it available. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. C? Servetnik, sorry. You two have 3 minutes if you'd like to offer kind of a...
Thanks. I'll just
thoughts.
briefly restate our chief complaint, and that is that we were not able to evaluate what substantive changes were made to the March 22nd version between the substituted version on April 3rd the subsequently substituted version on April 24 and April 26th. We received all this stuff April 27, and we wanted to testify intelligently on the hearing on April 30th. We were not able to do that. Not only was the consortium not able to do it, San Francisco Architectural Heritage and the Historic Preservation Commission themselves were not given adequate time to testify in a meaningful way at that land use hearing. And we asked for a simple continuance of 1 week. Supervisor Wiener was not willing to grant that. And my question to Mr. Powers remains, has the State Historic Preservation Officer signed off on the final version that the board passed? We still do not know the answer to that. Thank you.
Great. And so, Mr. Vetnick, just a quick question. So you did speak at that hearing on the 30th and issue your concerns about not being and asking for the continuance? Someone did speak?
Yes, we did. And I believe Attorney Mary Miles asked for a continuance. And I'd have to go back and check that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And I'm sorry, and what's your question I want to ask?
For Mr. Powers, does he have some other letter from the State Historic Preservation
That it has
Officer
been signed
having
off on?
transmitted the final version and gotten an okay so that our city's certified local government status agreement is honored? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Powers, may I ask, can you answer that question for me? I'm curious too.
Yeah, so I don't want to be obstructionist, but, that obviously is not before this body.
Yeah.
But sort of, yes, the state authorization was based on the final version of the legislation as it was passed by the Board of Supervisors.
Great, thank you. Member Washburn, did you have? Okay.
I have a question for Ms. Severtnick. Okay. I'm wondering, did you understand that the March 22nd version, the original version of the ordinance, was available to your group at the clerk's office?
No, I did not. Mr. Powers or Supervisor Wiener, the email that we got said it wasn't available, so I was waiting for it to be available, and I figured they would send it to me when it was available because I had requested it. It was not transmitted until April 27th.
Okay, so you were depending on
Yes.
Supervisor Wiener's office to help you track this legislation.
It was his legislation, yes.
So after the 22nd, you were expecting at some point to receive.
Correct. I thought they were still working on it and that, I had requested it, and when it was available, I would receive it. I trusted that.
Okay, thank you.
Member David?
I have a question for Deputy City Attorney Threet. So this case is dealing with legislation, and I guess my question is that there's public notification rules for legislation, and so in order for the Board of Supervisors to have even voted on this, is there any way that the public could not, that the legislation would not have been publicly made available through the website? I mean, I understand that there's concerns about whether it was Supervisor Wiener's office's responsibility to make the consortium aware of the legislation. But my bigger question is that there is public, you have to make the public available of legislation. And so is there any possibility this legislation was passed by the Board of Supervisors and was not properly publicly notified?
Through the chair to Member David, I think there's two separate issues that may have some relationship to one another. One is under the Public Records Act and the Sunshine Ordinance as with regard to a request for a public record. The second issue which you raise is a question of whether requirements under the Brown Act and under the Sunshine Ordinance for public meetings were complied with. There are two separate requirements. They They both independently need to be complied with in order to avoid a violation of law. So for any public meeting where legislation is going to be heard, there has to be publication of the legislation. Prior to that, it generally has to be available at or around the same time it's available to committee members. And there's also rules of the board that require that any substantive legislation be put on a 30-day hold and be available for review. So as far as I understand it, there's no allegation that in this case that those Brown Act and Sunshine Ordinance public meeting laws were violated. The allegation here is that Ms. Savretnik requested the original copy of the legislation on March 22nd, and that she was not provided it until April 27th, 3 days before the hearing. That's not a violation of the Brown Act or the public meetings laws, but it's potentially a violation depending on the conclusions of the task force of public records laws.
Thank you.
Mr. Street, is every piece of legislation made available to the public, and by which means of communication is that made known that everything can be obtained at the clerk of the board's office? Because I understand that the clerk of the board has everything that is under consideration. So is that made public?
Through the chair to Member Oka, it's required to be made public and publicly available before there's a vote on the legislation. Whether that always happens, I can't answer that question, but it's legally required to be available to the public.
Are there any more questions or comments?
It seems like this case is the date time and timeline seems a bit confusing between both parties about what happened. So I'm still a little confused, but it does seem like that that the 25th is that. It looks like there was an email on the 25th of 2012 at 4 p.m. from the members of the consortium, CC'd the consortium until all the members of the Board of Supervisors on the 25th. So I'm confused about when the immediate disclosure was first requested for the copy of the ordinance. Because clearly from reading here, I guess it appears like you did think that Supervisor Wiener and his staff had a responsibility to send you a copy of it as soon as they knew. Now, the question is, did they have that responsibility? Can be argued either way. I don't know how I'm coming out on it, but if someone can help me, maybe.
It's a lot. It's the time.
Madam Chair.
Member Nee?
First of all, this was not.
So the first one is.
First of all, the complainant has said she does not believe this was an immediate disclosure request. So that particular question is gone. Okay, it was just a regular, ordinary request for the public documents.
The one on the 21st.
The one, that's correct.
Yes, okay.
21st and the 22nd.
And the 22nd.
Now, we heard Mr. Wiener's representative, Mr. Powers, state that the legislation was introduced on March 27th, and put on automatic 30-day hold per standard procedure. So it is fairly obvious then that by certainly by March 27th, no later, Mr. Wiener's office had that information, had the document available. And the request for that document had not gone away. There is under section 67.21B of the ordinance a requirement to provide requested documents within 10 days.
Yeah.
Now, ordinarily, 10 days from the original request would be the 21st, so it would be March, I guess 10 business days, so it would be sometime in early April. But even giving the benefit of the doubt and starting the clock on March 27th, the 10-day requirement was still not met for provision of the document. And to say that, well, a copy was available in the clerk's office and maybe online, that to me does not satisfy the requirement, because somebody might not be able to get to the clerk's office. Somebody might not have access to the internet. When a document is requested, it is up to the respondent to provide the document or to state, to explain why the document is being withheld or will not be made available. Absent that, the responsibility is with the respondent to provide the document, a copy of the document as requested within that 10-day window.
Member David? Oh, okay. Member Washburn?
The question I have is, okay, there was a document, the first version was available late in the day on March 22nd or March 23rd. And then there was some substantive changes made. Was that the document that was filed in the clerk of the board's office on March 27th? No? Okay.
Through the chair, so the substantive changes happened were introduced on April the 3rd.
April the 3rd, okay.
And then the second substitute legislation, which happened, about a week before the land use committee hearing, were the typographical changes and such. So they were not substantive.
All right.
But can I point? Maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. This April 26th, Elisa Miller, because a lot of the things I'm seeing is conversation between on the 22nd or so with Ms. Vernick and Elisa Miller, not Supervisor Wiener. So what I'm trying to get at is, who was this sent to? When was this sent to? Was it sent to the right person? Because what I'm looking at now, it says, I recognize you requested copies of these amendments on March 22nd, 2012, but at the time you requested legislation had not been introduced. When I responded to you on March 22nd, I informed you this and directed you to our information request form found on our website, which requests such as these should be submitted. Supervisor Wiener did not introduce the first versions of the legislation until March 27, 2012. Copies of these proposed ordinance could have been requested after introduction, although notification of the hearing 2 weeks prior is not feasible since the chair does not finalize the Monday agenda until the Thursday before. So I'm just confused. Was the request made to Lisa Miller? Was it made to both?
Madam Chair, we have heard the respondent acknowledge that his office, Mr. Wiener's office, received the request and said at that time that that office had not received the document. Yes, the request did go to Supervisor Wiener's office. We have heard that acknowledged.
That's not my question. My question, obviously, it went to Supervisor Wiener's office. My still question is, what time was it finalized for them to actually receive it or send it? Because it looks like multiple things were sent to multiple people, and I don't know if they all dropped the ball or was it just Supervisor Wiener. But I'm just confused about the timeline.
Well,
Still.
Madam Chair,
Member Nee?
regardless of who dropped the ball in this, the respondent in this case, the party against whom the complaint is filed, is Supervisor Wiener. That's where we have to narrow our focus.
Yeah.
Attorney Threet?
Through the chair, to members of the task force, I believe the way the complaint is alleged, the respondents, or at least Supervisor Wiener and the Board of Supervisors. It was a little difficult because the complaint itself is not a model of clarity in terms of naming the responding parties, but I believe it's fair to say that it could also cover the Board of Supervisors. I don't know what the notifications were that went out in terms of respondents, but the complaint itself, I think, fairly covers other respondents who don't appear to be here. Perhaps you could clarify that with the complainant.
Ms. Cervetnik, can you kind of clarify that for us? It's a little bit muddled.
Yeah, I believe our complaint was to Supervisor Wiener, who was the author of the legislation. The initial email request on the 21st and 22nd was to Supervisor Wiener directly for this ordinance that he wrote on for the board to vote on.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. There's a bit of confusion here. Is there any motion to find a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance? Member Nee?
Madam Chair, I move to find Supervisor Wiener in violation of Section 67.21B of the ordinance for failure to observe the 10-day window for providing requested information.
So it has been moved and seconded to find Supervisor Wiener in violation. Ordinance 67, I'm sorry, the lot 67.21B.
B as in boy.
Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this motion?
Yes, Peter Warfield. I'm not familiar with this complaint, and I'm not a party to it. I have an interest in and am a member of, as far as I know, the Preservation Consortium. I appreciate Member Nee's question and also Member Oka's observation made earlier. In the schoolyard, in some of the schoolyards where I grew up, there was a game known as Keep Away. Somebody grabbed somebody's hat, and then a group of, usually boys, threw it around amongst each other while the victim jumped here and there and somewhere else trying to get their hat back from whoever it was that had it at the moment. And it seems to me that there's a game of keep away here being played. If somebody walks into an office and asks for a document and is told it's not here, and then walks out and they're known through email and so on, a few minutes later the document arrives, I think it's normal to consider that the request is active and that it would be a kind of trick to say, well, gee, you know, the time they came in, we didn't have it, so too bad. You're not entitled to it. I do think that a request, particularly on a very important public matter like this, is active and certainly within the 10 days, as Member Nee has pointed out. I also think that the assistance that's required to be provided is something that you should consider as to whether the assistance in helping somebody to get the material that they want, I don't think that was 3 minutes.
Is that 3 minutes? Is that 3 minutes? It's 2? Okay. You have
I
another-
don't see that the assistance required by the law was provided to Ms. Cervetnik. I'd also point out that the memo on page 104 from Elisa Miller on April 26th at 8:46 a.m. seems to me to lack helpfulness and actually is unlawfully unhelpful. Starts out, I recognize you requested copies of these amendments on March 22nd, 2012, but at the time of your request, the legislation had not yet been introduced. And she goes on to say, I informed you of this and directed you to our information request form found on our website, parens, where requests such as these should be submitted. I think it's very inappropriate. The law is very clear. A request for information may be provided orally, or by a letter, or by an email, or by a fax. The agency here is not allowed to make you jump through their particular hoops. Certainly they could ask you, or suggest it, or say our form might help you to formulate your request more clearly. But to simply say to somebody, that's where you should go, I think is another brush off. That's at the very least
Thank you.
inappropriate.
If you could just
so
kind
I
of wrap
hope
it
that
up, your minute's going.
Okay, so I would certainly support the motion. I would ask you to also consider whether the appropriate assistance was provided to the requester as is required by the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment on this? If not, I'd like to take a vote on this motion. Madam Clerk, can you take a roll call vote, please?
First, I'd like to say, I didn't hear the second, who the second was by. The first is Nee.
Member Oka.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Sims?
No.
Sims, no. David?
No.
David, no. Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
No.
Sorry.
No.
Fisher, no. Grant?
No.
Grant, no. There are 3 ayes and 4 noes.
The matter is concluded. Madam Clerk, can you go to the next item?
Item number 6, file number 12030, complaint filed by Anonymous against the Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly not providing camera footage from the incident on March 29, 2012 on Muni bus number 8157, 9 San Bruno.
I don't believe the anonymous is here. I believe the respondent had, I can't see. Oh, the respondent had a concern with the jurisdiction issue. Was that correct? That this was not your...
Caroline Slaya for the SFMTA, that the complaint was made against the SFMTA, but the request was never made of the SFMTA. We were never asked for the documents, the video. It was the city attorney's office that was asked for the video and not us.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. In this case, then, I would like to conclude that, I mean, we'll take public comment, but because there's nothing to, the complainant's not here. Okay, so since the complainant's not here, the respondent is suggesting this case, they've never received it. I would like to,
Yeah, I don't think they can respond to something they never received.
so, Member Nee?
Again, I would not want to make that particular judgment without hearing from the complainant. However, since the complainant is not here, it was suggested earlier that the case be dismissed with the complainant informed that he or she has the opportunity to refile.
Yes.
Do they, Mr. Threet, do they have the opportunity to
Yes,
file?
they do. Madam Clerk has submitted in the notices now. Oh, sorry.
Through the chair, to Member Fisher, if the matter is dismissed, they would have the option to refile, and the task force has other options. They could make a decision on the merits, or they could, just continue the matter. So those are the options you have.
I prefer the person, if they couldn't be here because they have the flu or something, they have the chance to be heard.
Madam Clerk, can I just ask you a quick question? Is this the second time that this has come before the task force, or am I?
No, you're correct. You are.
So this is the second time that this is the same one from before.
Do we know whether the last time, were they present? Were they
No.
here?
They were not.
They have not been here. And we moved it the last time, correct me if I'm wrong, to continue it because we wanted to give them an opportunity to come once again. Okay, here, so.
Had we not moved previously to continue it, I would be more than willing to. I mean, I think we should probably give them the leave to refile if they want to refile. It goes back to, unfortunately, we'll just have to go back to the bottom of the list. But, I think if they refile, I think we should take note of the two previous times that they have not wasted our times or wasted the MTA's time, but essentially that's the case.
So are you making a motion?
I make a motion that we that we give them an opportunity to refile, but otherwise dismiss the case.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any public comment on this? I'd like to take a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Member Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn, aye. Member Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. Member David?
Aye.
David, aye. Member Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Member Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Member Grant?
Aye.
Grant, aye. 7 ayes.
Great. So this has been dismissed. Option for the complainant to refile. Madam Clerk, will you go to the next item?
Item number 7, file number 12032, complaint filed by Paula Datesh against the Arts Commission for allegedly not providing documents relating to Evelyn Russell, former Arts Commission Secretary.
Hold 1 second. Is Evelyn, the Arts Commission representative here? I can't see. Okay. Do you have any issue with the jurisdiction? I can't see. Can you come up here? Because I can't see. I'm little.
No. Ms. Patterson.
Can you step away first and just let her respond to this? Because if not, then we can just... Is there any issue? Great. Okay. There is no... it's accepted, jurisdiction accepted by both parties. So can I call for a motion?
Move to accept.
The second? To accept jurisdiction?
Second.
Great. It has been moved and seconded, and I'm going to declare this passed without objection. So let's move forward to the substantive issues. You have 5 minutes to give us the issues of your complaint.
If you could give me a minute warning. Okay. On July 16, 2012, I filed an immediate disclosure request for records, and it was clearly stated in the subject portion of the email. And under Article 111, I'm alleging violations of 6121, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29, and Government Code Section 6256. The immediate disclosure request read exactly like this. All documents relating to former Secretary Evelyn Russell, inclusive our internal emails between the Arts Commission and Russell, regarding a criminal complaint she filed against me, documents and emails regarding a job promotion from secretary to curator 1, including additional qualifications required for this promotion, internal emails in which Lazar called me a criminal, and emails calling a previous request for this information in 2009 a new era of stupidity, and accounting for the hours billed the San Francisco Arts Commission for my request. Included in the same immediate disclosure request was all documents relating to the procedure required for me to obtain a current street artist permit. There are different procedures. When a permit's denied, there's an entire different procedure. So it's not a generic request. It's very specific. All documents relating to a 2009 complaint filed by Micah Daria regarding a complaint filed with the REACT Computer Crimes Unit of the South San Francisco Police Department, internal emails between the Arts Commission and the City Attorney's Office, internal departmental emails, and emails between Dario and the Arts Commission. All documents relating to his complaint against me and accounting for the hours billed to the Arts Commission for this complaint. Okay, now I'm going to present you a timeline. I don't talk to Howard Lazar. I haven't since 2005. He talks in circles. You never get him on the phone. He never returns emails. And you can see from that abundance of correspondence that he can't even answer questions. So this is all done through emails. On August 1st, 2012, I emailed Paula Jessen of the City Attorney's Office. I explained to her over 16 days had passed since my email to Lazar without a response from him. And Lazar's claim through Jessen, which was forwarded to me, that he had no way of contacting me. I explained to Ms. Jessen that I've had the same email for 30 years, and he certainly knew it. I also went to the Board of Appeals. Cynthia Goldstein contacted him by email asking, is there anything that I can forward to her since I know this person. There was no reply to anyone. Ms. Osbury sent a request to Lazar on August 20th. The same day I sent a follow-up to Lazar about this immediate disclosure request. There was no response. On August 7th, I got an email attachment from Paula Jessen of the City Attorney's Office, which contained 10 pages of repetitive documents. 9 pages were of the Pledge of Allegiance, and one was a page that was so redacted you could not even read what it said. On the 31st, I called Lazar at 9 a.m. He screamed something and hung up the phone. I didn't even get a chance to speak. I sent a follow-up email to Lazar and didn't get a response. My record request was not filled. No explanation was given to me why it was not filled. I was ignored and told that I was yelling at someone I don't know.
1 minute.
I didn't receive any documents at that time, and I request that you find Lazar and the Arts Commission in violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. What I got on the letterhead of the City Attorney's Office was just a verification that Ms. Jensen emailed me what she could of personnel records pertaining to this Evelyn Russell. She said that there were duplicates, and that was that. And she quotes a personnel file of this woman. So my request was not filled. And I have my own reasons for asking for this information, which I'll be happy to tell you people. I don't know this woman, but she did some pretty terrible stuff to me. Okay.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public that want to provide some more facts or evidence in support of Paula? If not, then the respondent from the Arts Commission can come forward. Oh, there.
Hi. Okay, well, I'm certainly confused because I had initially thought that.
Excuse me, once
Yes,
again.
I'm Kate
please.
Patterson, the Director of Communications for the San Francisco Arts Commission.
This is for record-keeping purposes,
Yes.
so bear with us.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Patterson.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, I'm very confused, and I know that you have in your possession all of the correspondence between the Arts Commission and Paula Detesh. And we had initially prepared a response with regard to her allegations that, or request regarding a certain Brianna Smith and an accusation regarding stalking. And that's what I thought 12032 was about initially. Nevertheless, I have all of her correspondence, and based on what I have in my possession, it appears as though Howard has been responsive to her requests all along the way. And with regard to Evelyn Russell, one email I'm looking at now addresses her questions to the best of his ability without impinging upon Ms. Russell's right to privacy or HIPAA. And he cites another, because her questions are very specific, related to personnel issues. For the record, Paula and Howard have spoken on a number of occasions at the San Francisco Arts Commission, at commission meetings. She's come to the office without appointments, and he has helped her. She claims that he does not answer her questions, when in fact I am CC'd on emails on a regular basis in which he answers her questions, and very thoroughly. Other members of the staff had made themselves available on a regular basis to her. Our CFO, Rebecca Krell, has had numerous one-on-one meetings with her. She's appeared at commission meetings. So it's totally inaccurate and false to say that we have not been accommodating to her requests. We have very much so, and their requests are numerous and frequent. She also claims that when she calls the Arts Commission, no one picks up the phone, but I can tell you that I've picked up the phone and spoken to her a number of times. So it's just not true. So I would say that, we have a track record of being responsive and being forthcoming to the best of our ability. Her questions are redundant. I think she sometimes forgets that she asks the same questions over and over again, and then accuses us of being convoluted, and sort of frames that because Howard does CC his colleagues as a sort of a measure to sort of, I guess, get a witness, so to speak. So I think it might be confusing for her, but that's certainly not something we're not going to do, because clearly, she continues to be confused. And this is our only way of backing each other up. So I think that's all I have to say. I mean, I think that, the email correspondence, as you can see, we've answered questions, and then she's come back and said that we haven't answered questions. So, it's I think she's confused, but we're doing the best of our ability to be responsive.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to present any facts or evidence in support of the Arts Commission? If not, I'd like to open it up to my colleagues. Any questions, comments? Oh, Attorney Threed?
Through the chair to members of the task force, I just wanted to give you some information. I endeavor in preparing memos to, try to lay out the facts in a way that would be helpful to members of the task force in understanding the complaint. And I have to say that both the information provided by the complainant as well as that provided by the respondent made that extraordinarily difficult in this case. It was difficult to understand which of multiple requests for records that were included in emails were the subject of this complaint. And when I got clarification from the administrator, it helped me, I think, narrow down the focus of the memo to one particular email, but there was nothing in the materials provided by the complainant that clarified that for me. I had to go through the administrator to try to find out that information. And then it was unclear to me from the material provided by the respondent whether there had been responses to those specific requests identified by the administrator. So I asked her to follow up with the respondent, and there were a number of PDFs that came back, some of which seemed to be addressing those specific records requests, and some of which did not. So it was a very confusing set of information from both parties. So I'm a little hard pressed I was a little hard pressed and still remain hard pressed as to provide that kind of guidance in this case.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay, then. In that case, was there any, I can't see, public comment on this issue?
Point of order.
Yes.
Rebuttals.
Oh, yeah, right. And the rebuttal will begin with the respondent. The Arts Commission, do you have any conclusion or rebuttal or?
I would just say that the requests from Ms. Datesh are constant, bordering on harassment. And, despite that, we have always maintained decorum and have been polite and responsive to meet her requests in a timely fashion. And I think that if you review the emails, you'll see there's a lot of redundancies and accusations and questions that related to other members of the public and their potential actions that we were not responsible for. So I just hope that you examine the correspondence, and all this is to say is that we do our best to help her in the way that we can, but we're limited.
Thank you. Ms. Datesh? You'll have 3 minutes.
I want to say that this thread of me harassing members of the Arts Commission who I don't know has gone back longer than 12 years. It's a tactic that they use. Ms. Peterson, I can speak to the date and time, actually, when she pulled it, that they use on many street artists. They make themselves unavailable on purpose. For example, why would I go well after 10 days to seek out the city attorney, Paula Jensen, to try and get records? Because I didn't get a response from Lazar. She went out of her way to contact him on that specific issue. I have not contacted these people. I don't speak to them directly. In fact, and it was a very tedious process to get a straight answer out of Lazar, which I haven't gotten. And if you examine that file, which is about this thick, it is not me making mindless immediate disclosure requests. It's me prodding Howard Lazar to answer the question. I'm repeating the immediate disclosure request again and again and again. That's what that file is. It's not a dialogue. It's not correspondence. It's me getting him to focus. The reason why I went up to see Rebecca Krill twice is for exactly this reason. My reasons for asking for the records of this Evelyn Russell, a woman who I don't know and never met, is the exact same thing. In 2008, Lazar said, "Call me to see if I have a quorum." I was supposed to go to some meeting. Typically, he doesn't pick up the phone. Some woman was picking up the phone and saying the most horrid things possible. At the advice of Catherine Barnes of the city attorney's office, she always told me to send a follow-up email. Keep a paper trail, which is what I did. The phones were rolling over. Lazar had an obligation to tell me of that. Instead, I went to their meetings. I went all the way up to the appeals level with these allegations of exactly what this woman said, of events that have not happened. Got the permit back, but was arrested. I was accused of stalking this Evelyn Russell through 3 grunts on the phone at a date and time that I was not even in San Francisco. No evidence of the allegation, and the police report, which was filed from 25 Vaness, went directly to the city attorney's office. Had it gone through the normal chain of command through the police department, it would have been dismissed for lack of evidence. Instead, I spent 45 days in jail and 2 years in the criminal courts here, where this woman didn't show up in court. I was noticed in jail through Nick Gregoratos of the Sheriff's Department that the phones were rolling over. That's a lawsuit. As far as these emails that are in the file, I never received them. I swear, I never received them. I'm looking at them for the first time tonight.
Okay, thank you. Member David?
Ma'am, is that correct? Do they have your correct email address on the emails?
I haven't noted that there is an email address on any of these emails. There's a from, but it's not CC'd to 5 or 6 various people at the Arts Commission. I have not received any of these.
Okay. All right. And I actually have a question for Ms. Peterson also, please.
Patterson,
excuse me.
It's Patterson.
I apologize. We've only asked you twice to say it, and I couldn't get it right.
That's okay. Can I just say that, we've had several email addresses for Ms. Datesh, and she cancels them and starts new ones, and we do our best to stay on top of it. On many occasions, we've made materials available for her at the front desk. We sent them to her personal address. So,
That's great. I apologize. I have a question that relates to a little bit to what Deputy City Attorney Threet. Are you the one who responded to Ms. Osbury's request for information from the task force, from the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force?
I believe Howard did. Yeah, Howard Lazar.
Okay. So I guess I'm a little bit concerned about, it sounded like that the information that was sent was not exactly the information.
Illuminating.
Yeah. And so I just, that just makes me, it gives me pause to, wondering why that happened.
I like I said before, I think there might be some confusion because we had prepared information related to an accusation that Ms. Datesh was stalking, harassing a staff member, Brianna Smith, and that's according to the records that we had, 12032. Our records on Ms. Datesh are voluminous, so it's possible there was some internal confusion. But I mean, I thought that I had read the initial notice from this body for this hearing, and that's what it was related to. But nevertheless, I mean, all of the correspondence relates to what's on the agenda, and it shows that we responded.
Member Nee?
Kind of a word of caution. We heard Ms. Patterson say a few minutes ago that Ms. Datesh was constantly coming to the Arts Commission office and seeking records, and that this was harassive behavior. That is not what we're concerned with here. Okay? We are concerned with a specific complaint regarding whether a specific record was provided. That's all we're concerned with. And as to whether Ms. Datesh was harassing the Arts Commission with her constant record requests, again, that is not something we're here to address. As a matter of fact, it is illegal for us or for you to...
Can I clarify?
May I finish,
yes.
Please? It is illegal for us or for you to ask or to assume the purpose for which somebody wants a public record. We are just not allowed to assume it or even to ask it, unless there are very narrowly specified circumstances.
I totally agree. Can I just clarify what I meant by that? Was that due to sort of the repetitive nature, asking similar requests, asking the same requests of multiple staff, even when they've responded to that request multiple times? That's what I meant. I agree that it's a request and we honor it, and it doesn't matter. It's just a request. We honor it. But I think it's, in addition to that, being called and being yelled at or, being insulted, those are things that we experience in our dealings with Ms. Datesh. So I do feel that that should be communicated, that there's something else going on here.
Madam Chair, I do have an additional question for Ms. Patterson.
Oh.
I'm looking at an email from Howard Lazar. It says to Z, although it doesn't give an email address, and then it's copied to various other people, including yourself. It says, we have learned, it says, we are furnishing you with copies of personnel records pertaining to Evelyn Russell, including records relating to a job promotion in which Evelyn Russell was promoted from a secretary to curator 1. Note that we have redacted information that is exempt from disclosure. We are also furnishing you with copies of internal emails between Howard Lazar and the SFAC concerning the appeal you, Ms. Datesh, filed in 2008. With respect to the internal emails between Howard Lazar and P.J. Johnston concerning you, Ms. Datesh, we have assumed that your request for records relates to that same 2008 time period and enclosed any corresponding records. If we have misunderstood your request, please let us know. Which sounds on its surface to be very much an attempt to be accommodating, but I don't see a reconciliation between that and Ms. Datesh's request for emails from Ms. Russell.
I'm sorry, what page are you on?
Okay, in the packet page 167.
Okay.
167.
Thank you.
There is an email from Howard Lazar to, I guess it's to Ms. It's to Ms. Datesh, and with copies sent to you and others.
Right.
I'm not sure. She was not, as far as I know, requesting internal emails between Howard Lazar and the SFAC, or between Howard Lazar and P.J. Johnston. She wanted emails, I guess, sent to and from Evelyn Russell. So,
I'm sorry, but it's in quotes, so he's quoting her email, so I'm confused about that. Why you say that when he's quoting her directly.
That's not necessarily relevant to the complaint here, because what Ms. Datesh is saying she wanted and did not get were emails, basically anything about Ms. Russell, including emails that Ms. Russell sent about Ms. Datesh. So, from the evidence that we have here in front of us, I don't see. First of all, I don't see emails from Ms. Datesh requesting requesting the information that she mentions in her complaint. But I also, assuming for a minute that she did make those requests, I don't see that anything in here indicates a satisfaction of that request.
Because I have an email from Howard to Paula saying that, hold on a second.
Okay, Ms. Datesh, please approach the microphone. Now, you're saying you requested certain information, particularly regarding Ms. Russell.
I'm repeating that I've had the same email for 30 years. It's never changed. I've never made up an email.
What I am saying is that in the packet we have in front of us, we don't see any such request listed.
Yeah.
I made one immediate disclosure request, which I'll be happy to read to you again. I waited 16 days.
Did you make that request in writing?
I made it through an email on the subject headline, immediate disclosure request.
Is that in our packet?
That was the first one in your packet.
Yes.
I'll read it again.
Can you tell us what page it's on?
I don't know, because I've never seen these ones before, and all these emails that are CC'd and copied all around the place are so confusing that I wouldn't even begin to. And then in addition, she's throwing in allegations that I visit their office or call and cuss them out. Not true, not happening.
Well, that's... okay.
Not the
That's
subject of this.
Not the subject of our-
Exactly, but that's always the response.
Okay, but please,
I'm
let's-
sorry.
We have a long evening, we still have a long evening ahead of us, so,
This has just
the
been going-
narrower we can focus this, the better we all are. Thank you.
That's what I tried to do, but,
Can you point to the page where there is a copy of the email of your immediate disclosure request?
in the file that you have in front of you that I reviewed last week, it would be the first few pages.
Oh, okay.
see it?
It might be page 158.
It was on July 16th.
Yeah. You guys see it?
I have it right here if you need it.
Okay, this is a note to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. Is that what you're pointing to?
No, I filed an immediate disclosure request email, July
Go
16th.
past, because there's a response to the 8/2012 immediate disclosure request. If you go right past that document, you see it?
It's Friday, August
It's from
31.
Howard Lazar, and it's dated Friday, August 31st.
Okay, what,
It's like, keep going, here, I'm sure.
You can,
what,
you can take mine if you
and
want.
what,
I copied it right out of the file.
Okay, go ahead.
okay.
And there's these multi-megabyte attachments that we don't have, but we don't need those.
Attorney Thwaite?
Through the chair to members of the task force, there was a formal complaint form in this matter, and then attached to it on the next page after the complaint form was the July 16th email to Howard Lazar, Paula Jessen, and the SOTF that starts to the Sunshine Task Force. So when I clarified with the administrator, she helped me understand that that was the substance of the records requests that were the subject of this complaint. And then there were additional attachments that covered other matters as well that apparently are not the subject of this complaint.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What is Howard
Lazar.
Lazar? Why? So did Howard Lazar received the immediate disclosure request on 7/16/2012, correct?
Yes, he's the custodian of records. That's the person you would contact.
Okay. At afgov.org.
sfgov.org.
But this email is to howard.lazar@afgov.org.
sfgov.
That's not what I'm reading. I'm reading this July 16th subject immediate disclosure request, the one to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, to Howard Lazar, Paula Jessen at SFGov, and Sunshine Ordinance Task Force.
Go ahead.
I'm looking on page, looks like 158 of this book, and it says sfgov. 16th at 2:14 p.m. to Howard Lazar at sfgov.org, Paula Jessen.
It's a typo.
Yeah, there's a typo.
So he didn't receive it probably. Yeah, it's afgov.org, so but Paula Jessen and
You have to understand, I was getting 10 emails a day from this guy asking for clarification.
That's fine.
It's like...
So what was your question, really? Was that pretty much what your issue was?
Okay.
It wasn't Ms. Ditesh's.
But Paula Jessen, who is an Arts Commission recipient.
No, she's the records person at the city attorney's office.
Oh, she's city attorney, okay.
Yeah.
So this never received. Attorney 3?
Yeah, through the chair to the members of the task force. Paula Jessen is a city attorney assigned to be the
Supervisor of records.
The supervisor of records. It's a specific official designated in the ordinance. If you have a complaint about not receiving a public record you've requested, you can file that complaint with a supervisor of record to determine whether it is a public record. That's one avenue you can take, and you can also file a complaint with a task force.
Got it. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions?
We don't have a motion yet, do we?
No, there's no motion. So just to be clear, what don't you have that you want?
Well, what I did get was 9 pages of the Pledge of Allegiance through the extraordinary efforts of Paula Jessen. We probably had 20 phone
What do
conversations.
you mean 9 pages of the Pledge of Allegiance?
That's what I got. That's what she forwarded
Is that
to
in
me.
is that in our packet? 9 pages of the Pledge of Allegiance?
That I got a letter on the from Paula Jessen saying that she was. This is a PDF email. Here are what I am able to give you: the personnel records of Evelyn Russell, which are a lot of duplicates. And what it was 9 pages of the Pledge of Allegiance and 1 page that was so redacted you couldn't even read it. I mean, she didn't even address the full aspect of the record request. I guess she didn't have to because she deals with records. And she was also helpful in getting me to be able to pay for this permit. I went up to that office 7 times. Nobody was there.
So I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but
it's so disorganized over there.
But at the issue, did you get the documents?
No.
You've not received not one document that you've ever requested?
I got 9 pages of the Pledge of Allegiance and 1 page that was redacted. So
that's all you've ever received from this office?
That's all I've ever, and that was through the city attorney's
Can I ask
office.
a quick question first? So it's $20 to get to apply for this permit, and then,
Yeah, it's a little
and then
more,
it's something
but
like $600. I have friends that do this. It's $660 a year to do this, and you get
Little
a
more.
lottery in the morning. So you go in the morning and you take a lottery spot. Are you saying that you never got your permit?
What I'm saying was that there's been such a lack of communication. There's been a lot that you guys have instituted, and it's been in the paper, and there were changes, but when you have one person that's held the same job for 40 years, it's a little bit like pulling teeth to get information from this guy, which is why I was going to the full commission's meetings. I was asking them, I was reading parts of the Sunshine Ordinance, asking them to post the minutes correctly. I actually went once to speak on the Evelyn Russell matter. The minutes still
Am I allowed to ask Ms. Patterson a quick
It's
question?
a mess over there.
Is there a reason why somebody would be turned down for? Oh, you have a permit. That wasn't my question.
The permit isn't the issue.
Oh, so
the
answer was-
issue is that Howard Lazar is not here tonight. Okay, so he can't speak personally.
But he's represented.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You see, she's making allegations where I did go up to speak to her once. She called the guard from downstairs for no reason.
Mayor,
This
I'm
is
sorry.
very
Can
true.
let's just
Focus on this,
focus on
please.
what
Please.
our jurisdiction is, and it is about the documents that you
Yes.
did or did not receive.
What I did not receive is the following. Internal emails between the Arts Commission and Russell regarding a criminal complaint. Documents, emails regarding a job promotion she got. Internal emails where Lazar called me a criminal, and emails calling it something about a new area of stupidity. What I did not get was the procedure for me to obtain a current artist permit.
Which you have now.
Yes, because I had to go
Okay, that's all I
through a
need to
bunch
know.
of
We know you
hoops.
have it, so you have it.
Documents regarding a 2009 complaint filed by Adario. Internal emails between the Arts Commission, City Attorney's Office, internal departmental emails and emails between Adario and the Arts Commission, all documents relating to his complaint against me, and an accounting for the bill of hours. If they didn't have it, they should have said, I'm sorry, this is what we have, this is what we don't have. Would you like us to mail it? Would you like us to pick it up? That kind of thing.
So you have not received anything?
No, I have not.
Okay, so I think, are there any questions for either the complainant or the respondent?
Well, maybe I just want to point out to the respondent, it seems like they have complied with much of your requests in the August 31st response to you and the August 7th response to you. Attachments to that, which looked like to me to be 1.5 megabytes and 9 megabytes of information. I don't know if your email was blocking it, which some would do. But I know from my perspective, dealing in large documents, that happens all the time. And that's something maybe the Arts Commission should look into when they're sending large documents to people, whether those things are getting blocked by people's emails, maybe like return receipt, those kinds of things. Okay, but I don't know if I want you to get these documents.
I didn't get them. So this is another one of those things. The reason why I correspond with them only by email is because there's a clear paper trail. I have never spoken to Howard Lazar since 2005. I would not go up in that office unannounced. Even to pay for this permit, I had a confirmed appointment from Paula Jessen. I went up there, and the secretary, as soon as I walked in, she bolted in the back, and I was screamed at in the hallway by Lazar's boss, claiming that I screamed at her. Ma'am, it just goes on and on.
I understand. I just am, I guess, asking the commission to, let's get to a resolution.
Yeah. I did not receive any of the emails in this file. My first time of seeing them was tonight. I did not get them.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Yes, Ms. Patterson?
There's also an email dated August 20th that is responsive to her requests with more specifically regarding issues related to Ms. Russell. So I just wanted to add that to your list of it.
Okay. If there is no more comments, it's been so long. Did you? Yeah, we did the rebuttals and all that. So you can have a seat right now, and I'd like to see if there is a motion to find a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. If not, I am going to dismiss. The matter's concluded. There's no violation. So we thank you both for your time. I'd have like a public comment. I am getting ready to give that to you if you'd hold on 1 second. So matter's concluded. There's now time for a public comment.
I would like you to know that I was so frustrated by this total disorganization of this entity that I went up to their office today, left the permit on the desk because nobody was there.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. That's not, I understand, but the matter's concluded.
I didn't get any documents. And I've been accused of additional things I haven't done. I'm going back to New York. I waited 8 months patiently for this hearing.
Got it.
Enough.
Got it. You get 3 minutes to comment on this issue?
I believe you've taken a vote without taking public comment. That's not what you're supposed to do.
We didn't take a vote. There was no vote. There's no motion.
Have a motion?
There was no motion.
No motion? I thought you said the matter was concluded.
It's concluded because there was no motion.
You can't conclude the matter without taking public comment.
Mr. Threet?
Through the chair to members of the task force, the matter may not be concluded until public comment is completed.
Okay.
Public comment.
It's very troubling that the task force, and particularly the chair, don't seem to understand basic sunshine requirements on your own proceedings. You can't come to a conclusion or a decision, including dismissal, without taking public comment. With respect to this matter, and I hope you'll give me 3 minutes from now, I am not familiar with this case, and I'm not connected with the case, but I have to say, certainly in agreement with Member Nee, it is very troubling to hear departments smearing and trashing and accusing members of the public who come here of one kind of character flaw or another because they've made information requests. We heard Ms. Patterson saying that the complainant was harassing the folks. That's just a smear. We've heard those things before from other folks who didn't like it, that information was being requested that they didn't want to provide, or didn't like it that there was a complaint or multiple complaints being made for which they had no answer other than to, or no good answer other than to throw in an insult or an accusation, which is certainly very distressing and discouraging to the public and completely irrelevant to the case. And when just prior to that, Ms. Patterson said, we have a track record of being forthcoming, I didn't know whether to laugh and consider this the comedy portion of the meeting or take it rather more seriously. In my limited experience of the Arts Commission, the secretary never or almost never answered any of my phone calls when I called, but only on a callback. Library Users Association won, in the space of less than a year, unanimous or near unanimous decisions in 1/2 complaints, and there were many complaints that we didn't bring for violations that the Arts Commission had committed. They played games with requiring appointments for listening to audio of their meetings. They set totally arbitrary and unlawful limits on the time. That's not a record of forthcoming. They did redactions. They were sneaky about the redactions. They didn't even indicate where or whether there were any redactions being made. That's not forthcoming. And as you heard from Ray Hartz at a previous meeting a few weeks ago, a commissioner in public at a public meeting of the Arts Commission spoke after I made public comment that he hoped he would prevent my taking part from further public discourse on the Arts Commission's matters. It was not I who told you this, it was Ray Hartz, who was present at the time. There were insulting comments. He called me Mr. Whatever your name is, and so on. That's not a track record of being forthcoming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more public comments? If not, the matter is concluded. Madam Clerk, will you go to the next issue?
Item number 8, file number 12034, complaint filed by Anonymous against Debbie Brubaker, Film Commissioner, for allegedly not providing records of written determination on projects employed and emails forwarding lists of possible employees to studios or producers for projects.
Ma'am, we are done with your case, so thank you.
Even in that office.
Okay, thanks. Madam Clerk, continue, please. Oh, you're done? Can you repeat it in case we couldn't hear?
Item number 8, file number 12034, complaint filed by Anonymous against Debbie Brubaker, Film Commissioner, for allegedly not providing records of written determination on projects employed and emails forwarding lists of possible employees to studios or producers for projects.
You didn't even vote. You didn't even find jurisdiction. I did not get those emails. They're lying.
Is Anonymous here? Great. One moment. I just wanted to call action on jurisdiction. I wanted to see if it was accepted by Debbie. Sure. Okay, great. I'd like to call for a motion on jurisdiction.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'm going to declare this motion pass without objection. Will the
Complainant.
public comment?
Just through the chair, I need to inform the task force I'll be leaving shortly, so if you have any questions on this matter, I can answer them at this time.
We have jurisdiction. Does anyone have any questions?
Can you confirm our jurisdiction on this from a DCA standpoint?
From the complaint, as I analyzed it, I didn't see an allegation that there was a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. It appears that the allegations are that there are improper activities that violate the statement of incompatible activities for commissioner and/or other kinds of official misconduct that are not within the purview of the task force.
Because that's what I read. I read that also.
It was moved and seconded to accept jurisdiction. We will still take a vote, so.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to,
Wait.
I just wanted to hear.
Number three, number three?
I did want to add that, from what I could tell from the complaint, it was mainly focused on these other allegations. It is possible, however, that there's also a complaint that she requested documents related to these allegations and didn't receive them. If that is part of the complaint, then that is within your jurisdiction.
Okay.
So we can ask them. Member Nee?
Madam Clerk, Madam Chair, and Mr. Threed, at the very top of the of your memorandum on page 170 of our packet, it says, Complainant Anonymous appears to allege that the San Francisco Film Commission and Film Commissioner Debbie Brubaker failed to provide public records in response to a public records request for 1, records/disclosure of written determination on projects employed, 2, emails forwarding list of possible employees to studios or producers for projects. So it appears there is a public records request in play here. Am I reading too much in it, or is there something that I'm missing?
Yeah.
I believe that if you look on page 176 and 176 and 177 of the full agenda packet, and for those of you who don't have that, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, page 7 and 8 of this agenda item. That's the actual complaint.
Okay.
That's incompatible activities.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the reason that it's unclear to me is because there was a response from the Film Commission, and I believe that was forwarded by Ms. Osbury to the complainant. And then the response from the complainant says, this does not answer the questions of the complaint. Example, does anyone have letters or emails? Are the issues listed? Any letters, emails to the Film Commission from and to various individuals? So the follow-up email suggests that the complainant was interested in receiving documents related to these things, but it did not appear that that was a part of the original complaint. That's page 178 of the full agenda packet.
Yeah, this one that says, Andre.
You can come up and say it's anonymous. Let's see.
Good evening, but I'm not sure why I'm here now. I know you have to leave for whatever you may have to do and respect that, but we're coming to conclusions before you've heard even why I'm here tonight, and we refer to legal thing, which I know you're right, I'm not an attorney, but it's kind of like the end before the beginning.
Well, we're just trying to determine jurisdiction, if we can even rule on, if this is within our jurisdiction of ruling
Oh, I
on.
thought jurisdiction was already established, and Ms. Brubaker waived her, she said that it was as well.
Ah, okay. So jurisdiction.
So it's a jurisdiction question, but I'm hearing it seems
It's
like
not
we're
the
getting conclusion.
substance. No. It's
Yeah,
the
okay, I'm sorry.
Jurisdiction. Attorney Threet?
Because I do have to leave now, I just want to give you the conclusions that I draw are based on the information provided by the parties. And if the complainant did not provide sufficient information with his complaint in the packet for me to conclude that there was jurisdiction, then I have nothing else to draw that conclusion. I have to prepare these memos before the presentation here, so it's akin to filing a complaint in court and then showing up with new information to plead before the court during the hearing.
Understood. There is a motion on the floor right now that we've accepted jurisdiction. Member Nee?
Perhaps it would help us to determine the jurisdiction question if the complainant would explain to us what specific violations of the Sunshine Ordinance he is alleging, and where do those violations occur? What public records are you requesting that you did not get? And is that in fact your complaint, that you requested and did not receive public records?
Correct. That is part of the complaint. That's correct, exactly. There are none. There are no emails, and there is nothing that they can send. Now, film commissioner to the film office, 2 years and 10 months, there's no emails. And this is their response.
Thank you.
Your question?
It appears to me that there appears to be some jurisdiction here, so I make is a motion on the floor? Or?
There's a motion, and it was seconded by Member Washburn. So, sir, if you give us a moment, I would like.
Sure.
Okay.
He gets 5 minutes now.
Yeah. Well, no, because it was agreed upon. So we actually can ask for members of the public that want to offer some. Yeah, just have a seat. 1 second.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll take a vote on it. So is there any public discussion about this jurisdiction issue? If not, then let's take a vote on it. Madam Clerk?
Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Washburn? Aye. Washburn, aye. Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. David?
Aye.
David, aye. Oka?
Aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Grant?
Aye.
There are 7 ayes.
Great, so we have accepted, we've ruled that there is jurisdiction, so if the complainant can now come up, and you will have 5 minutes to present the issues of your case.
It's been a long night, and I appreciate your diligence, and I shall adhere to that 5 minutes or less here. My name's Cliff Roseman. I was anonymous, but last Thursday, Film Commissioner Debbie Brubaker called a gentleman by the name of Frank Simeone in an attempt to get a hold of me to discuss this matter. So much for anonymous and anonymity. So I also have to say, in respect to her, we are both in a union, the Directors Guild. We meet in meetings together. We know each other. It's not I don't find it a threat. I just thought this was anonymous, and that didn't happen. But as I said, I've been in the motion picture business for 30 years. I've worked over 100 projects. Excuse me, bad voice. Personally involved with hiring hundreds of filmmakers. Teamster, I'm a Teamster. I'm in the Screen Actors Guild. But the question today before us is simple. Is there a conflict of interest with the film commissioners securing employment for their personal financial gain? Is this being done by some type of inside information? And that was my purpose of trying to seek, hey guys, are there any emails? Can you show me what's gone on back and forth? Ms. Brubaker started in 2010 as a film commissioner. Her own resume, which you guys have a copy of in your packet, and I have one here and highlighted, reflects that she's done 22 projects in 2.5 years. The industry standard is 3. So starting, if you look at her resume before 2010, like myself and other filmmakers, we do about 3 projects a year. All of a sudden, upon becoming a film commissioner, she's done 22. So I'm asking, is there any information you can provide for me? Are there any emails to show what happens back and forth? I cite here number B. I can't remember what it was because I put this in like August, and it's been a 4 or 5 month delay. It says no employee or officer may knowingly provide selective assistance that is not generally available to all competitors or individuals that provides a competitive edge. You know, I don't quite get how a film commissioner, anyone, not Ms. Brubaker, any film commissioner can take a job in the motion picture business and take hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and then go regulate it. So can you give me emails to clarify this issue? Is there any kind of communication? What's going on here? When you do want a job, there was a job that recently came to town called the Woody Allen Project. People were instructed to send our resumes to her first, not to the producers, which is just not the way we do business in San Francisco. So what I'm trying to ascertain is, as I said, is there any information that can illuminate whether there is a conflict of interest and there's communication back and forth on how jobs are being disseminated in San Francisco or not between the San Francisco Film Commission and the commissioners? You know, as a point of interest, I told you about, like, last Thursday I was contacted. I was a little surprised at that, and again, I had no problem by it, but the fact that it was supposed to be anonymous was a little bit to the side. Rory Inc. was a film commissioner. Rory Inc. worked on one movie called Pursuit of Happiness and was taken off by the Sunshine Act, and rightfully so, because it was a conflict of interest. We have a film commissioner behind us here who has done 22 pictures, but that's okay. So if these are our new competitors, I'd like to find that out if I'm right or wrong. And I can't find that out without getting this information. And the emails were not provided, and nor were the other transmissions back and forth on how this comes down in San Francisco. By ethics committees, somebody asked me, and I'm not an attorney, and this is why I wish Mr. Treat was still here, was they take an ethics commission on that they won't do anything to better their own job and stuff. I can't figure that out unless I have this other information. So that's what I was trying to get, and that's why I've approached you folks tonight. I thank you for your time.
Got it. Thank you.
Sorry for the jumble. I'm equally tired. Oh, can I, one more thing here, if I have another minute here, real quick. Did you all get the copies of a resume?
Of Ms. Brubaker?
Yes, because provided by things. And on that, I have highlighted copies of that. It shows the 300% increase. 300% increase before, as she takes as commissioner, to prior to that. And prior to that, she, like other filmmakers, and very competent filmmaker, I might add, and a very seasoned filmmaker, do 2 or 3 a year. But if we can't see these emails and we can't see what's going on, it's hard to find out if I am right or if I'm wrong.
So that's why you want the emails. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Is there any member of the public here that would like to offer any more facts or evidence for Anonymous? If not, it's Cliff. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff.
She found out last week. That's a good one.
Okay.
You're still anonymous to us.
Ms. Brubaker, you can come up. You also have 5 minutes to present your...
Hi, I'm Debbie Brubaker, and I'm a film commissioner. And I just want to keep this simple as it pertains to the Sunshine Ordinance. In regard to emails, forwarding lists or possible employees to studios or producers, as a film commissioner, I have never created or sent such lists to the film office for them to forward to anyone, nor have I ever created and sent any such lists from the San Francisco Film Commission email account to any such person or persons. I have a separate email account as a film commissioner, and I've never done that. As a matter of practice, if the film office is asked about recommendation for crew, they're referred to the real directory. It's an online directory or a book that gives names, and I'd also like it to be noted that all records of any upcoming movies or TV films, commercials planning to come to town, or projects that have come to shot here in the past are all a part of public record, and anyone has access to that information. So I don't get it before anybody else does. And in regard to my resume, if I want to just keep that brief, I mean, some of the things that the projects that Cliff brought up that are on my resume, I didn't even do. I mean, they're not on my resume. He refers to projects in his complaint of projects that I never worked on. He says that I get all the jobs, and out of 177 commercials.
Wait, is this your resume? It's
your resume?
My resume, he says that I did.
The one that's in our packet, this is your resume with all these.
But there's things in his complaint, there are projects listed in his complaint that don't appear on here because I never did them. And if you go in here and look, some of the features that I did, I only did like a few days on.
What year did you join the commission?
I'm sorry, what?
What year did you start on the commission?
2010.
Okay.
So a movie, like for example, it lists Neon Sky feature film. That's my movie. I produced it with a friend and our own money.
Cliff, if you can just hold on 1 second, you will have a chance to rebut, so you can just have a seat.
The movie On the Road, which is a feature film that I did in San Francisco, I worked on that. That was a 4-day shoot. So a lot of people, you work 4 days. I'm going to have a number of those because in San Francisco you work a lot of little jobs because there aren't a whole lot of movies that come here in their entirety. I did do the Woody Allen project, and I interviewed for the job of UPM along with a number of other people.
UPM stands for
Unit Production Manager.
Unit Production.
All of the jobs that I've got, I don't have an inordinate amount of work showing on this year, last year. In fact, I did more work in 2001 than I did in...
Ms. Brubaker, I'm not trying to interrupt you.
Yeah, sure.
But
No, go ahead.
It's been a long evening.
Go ahead.
What I want to know is, was there a records request sent to you? This complaint is against you or the Film Commission?
With all due respect,
Yeah.
I'd raise a point of order. This is not the time for questioning.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying
That's
to...
okay, no.
If you can finish up.
I found out about this, and there are no emails about lists between me and the film office or me as a commissioner and any studio or producer. I mean, they don't know me any more than they know Mr. Roseman, or no, they're not going to take my recommendation over anybody else as a person. As a commissioner, I have never done this. Okay. So I don't pull permits, which is the problem that Rory had because he was going into the office and getting permits. I don't do that. There's a location manager that does that on the shows that I work on. So I have not gotten, any written determination because I didn't need any. I haven't had anything that would be in conflict.
Okay, that's it then. Thank you very much. Are there any people in the audience that would like to offer some evidence or facts to support Ms. Brubaker?
With the gentleman, I'm producing projects, and I came into contact with Ms. Brubaker through group panels. My experience with her is that she's highly visible in the community. She's done work for free at very early stages in production that helped me get my project to the stage of production. And I and several other people have met her through various panels. She's very visible with the Film Society here, not the Film Commission, but the Film Society. Mm-hmm. We met up at the Squaw Valley Screenwriters Conference, and that's how I developed my relationship. That's how she develops a lot of her relationships, and it doesn't seem like this claim is sound at all.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? If not, I'd like to, oh, sorry. Can you speak in that other mic?
Sure, thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Amy Zins. I'm the former executive director of the Oakland Film Commission, and I just wanted to speak as to how producers and others who are looking to hire locally hire when they come from outside of town. And as running the Oakland Film Office, and we did work very closely in partnership with the San Francisco Film Office, it's common practice, as Ms. Brubaker said, for us film office folks to refer people to the Real Directory, and also sometimes folks coming from out of town will ask for a past crew list from former productions. And that's the general practice that we do. And and my understanding, working closely with the San Francisco Film Office, is that that's how they work. And I've been independent away from the film office in Oakland for 2 years now, and working professionally, and had those same types of experiences when I've contacted the San Francisco office or any commissioners. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'd like to open it up to the task force for any questions. Member David?
Cliff, could you come on up? So, could you just clarify for me, you were looking for emails from Ms. Brubaker's Film Commission email to fill in the blank?
To the, I guess it would be to the film office, which would be to Susanna Robbins. If specific, that would be the ones. It's none of my bloody business on anything else. And I have to, can I just say one other thing? I absolutely agree. She's a phenomenal filmmaker. She's a much better person than I. Her volunteer lists and the other stuff that she has. So this isn't a spitting in the wind contest here. Much better. I don't volunteer as much as she does, and what she's given back to the community. And Amy, the same thing. Not much both respect. I can turn to Amy, and I don't think in your career of all your filming, did you ever work for production companies when you were a film commission and resolving? No, but that's just as an aside. So going back to your question, it would be between Ms. Brubaker and Susanna Robbins, as I asked in the original complaint, and I was told there are none, or that there was, I wasn't going to be able to get it. Okay, it's in your response there.
Okay, was that actually, Ms. Osbury, was that in the original complaint, emails for asking for emails between Ms. Brubaker and, I'm sorry, did you say Ms. Robinson? I'm sorry, yes. Ms.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Susanna. I guess that would be the chain that we would look to see if I'm right or if I'm wrong.
And was that in the original complaint?
Yeah, you have it there in your packet, I believe.
I don't have my packet with me.
Oh, okay. It's on the very first.
Everything,
What page is
in the
it?
packet.
It's a one-page, 5-paragraph kind of a thing.
Ms. Osborne,
And then
is that on our packet? Oh.
And then I asked to follow up. When they responded, I said, this doesn't answer it. I would like to get this information, please.
Right?
Okay, we're trying to, I guess, figure it out. So you initially sent your request to who?
For the request?
Yes.
To the film office.
Okay, you sent your request to the film office, and then their response was?
Actually, thank you for asking. They said, in Ms. Brubaker's response, and it's in your packet, said, we do not do any lists, there are no lists, there is no information available. The information they sent back, which I hope you all have in your package, is in fact a list of 3 people. It is a list. These 3 people are available, and you should look at these people. Says, well, where's the list? Give me some more information. There is no more information. So it's, by that I mean, if you look at your packet, if you would, please, it's the portion where they respond. It says, it says, it's from, it says email to Simon LaFleur, PDF, from Susan Robbins. It's in response to the Sunshine request that I asked, and said there are no lists, but here's an example of what we do. Well, there's about 20 location managers in town, and they send a list of 3 people. So I said, this isn't answering my question. What are you guys doing here? Where are the emails? Where are the communications going back? And I want to object to one other thing. Ms. Brubaker said that she doesn't provide information to producers directly from the film office. She did it to me personally on April. She did it to Ms. Gail Stempler and Frank Simeone. If we wanted to work on this picture, we had to send our emails, requests, or resumes to her to submit to the producers, and I have the producers' names and blah, blah, if they're interested.
I guess, sir, what I'm trying to get at is who the original request to and whose responsibility was it to respond? So,
I think Suzanne,
you have
Suzanne Robbins, and I spoke with numerous times, God bless her, Andrea, in saying who should I submit these things to, as far as formal.
But your complaint is against Ms. Brubaker.
Correct. But it's hand in hand. Ms. Brubaker is the commissioner who reports to, as a matter of fact, she was supposed to be here today, to Susanna, who is part of the Film Commission. She is our, what's Susanna's?
She's a staff member.
Director?
I'm
just a film commissioner.
Correct.
I don't work in the office.
Correct.
I'm not an employee. I'm a volunteer.
Correct.
You get paid a salary. I do not.
Yeah, she's us.
So the thing, and
I just want to know
remember, you can,
if I'm right or wrong.
Incorrect,
if I had this information, I'd be able to know if I was right or wrong. I'm not even saying that I'm that right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying if I had the information, we could look at these emails and go, Cliff, you're full of baloney, or you know what, there's something here.
Well, Cliff, we're trying to get there. So, what responsibility did Ms. Brubaker have to provide any information that she has under the Sunshine Ordinance?
Well, under the Sunshine Ordinance, she would, she has a responsibility to provide all requested information that is disclosable under the law. And there is, if information is only oral, there is no obligation on the part of a respondent to create a record.
Exactly.
To create a written or printed or electronic record. But if the record being sought already exists, then there is an obligation to provide it, assuming that it is disclosable.
Exactly. Okay. That was my thinking as well.
Okay. It's in my original request, just exactly what Mr. Nee said, I believe. It says straight up here. It says, question, has Debbie Brubaker under Section C sought written determination of the last projects? That was one question. And are there any emails to say if I'm right or wrong? It's on the, I know you don't have it, Mr. Sims. It's in the original, you have it in your packets.
And they never responded?
No. What they did, they responded. It's a one-page letter. You folks hopefully have it in your packet as well. And that letter, somebody help me here? But I've got it here. It's a letter saying there are no emails. There are no, nah, it's not that one. Her response said there was nothing.
So your belief is that they're lying, that there are emails?
No. My belief is I can't make that decision until I see, yes, I believe there's got to be some emails between them in 24 and 34 months.
Between Ms. Brubaker and
Ms. Robbins.
Ms. Robbins regarding projects.
Regarding projects, okay.
Correct.
Now we're there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully we all go home.
I'm curious, she's saying there's no.
Ms. Brubaker?
Yep.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have that letter of their response.
We have it.
We have that. Yeah. Are there emails between you and Ms. Robbins?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But none that have lists. None
That wasn't, but I don't, that's not, that wasn't his request, right?
Well, I don't know. Read his request and you tell me. That's. I mean, it's hard to understand what the exact request is because it says, it appears that Ms. Brubaker has created a list employment system resulting in her securing every project, television, commercial, and feature that has come to town. Conflict? It basically says that. No, I can't even figure out where it says. It says that. Where does it ask that? You tell me, I mean, how does she obtain her leads? And there's no clear, I mean, I get them the same way you do, Cliff. see. I don't see where it asks. As far as written determination, I didn't do any because I didn't have any, especially because I could get into the nuances of some of this stuff, but...
Ms. Brubaker, just one moment.
Might be from Suzanne.
And Memorny as well, do you have his original request? I don't have it in front of me. And I've been through my packet and I printed mine out, and we have one online. Would need to see his original request. Can he circulate that to the commission?
A review of her emails would confirm this if in fact it is correct. That's all it says.
I have their original
It's page 170.
Oh, okay.
You found it? 176?
I can't find where it says that he wants to see all the emails between me and
What's the
Susanna
complaint?
Robbins. All we could figure is that he wanted to see something between me and her, and I could probably print out what I have. I don't know if I have everything, because I don't save emails. But there's a lot of them, but nothing has anything to do with lists. Now, if I get hired on a show, we will discuss that particular show, maybe. Usually, the discussion goes between the location manager and the film office, and not me.
Cliff? If Ms. Brubaker...
Thank you. You have to come speak into the microphone for record.
If Ms. Brubaker provided you with whatever emails she has between her and Ms. Robinson, right? So I think one of the issues before us is that it's perhaps it's not exactly clear exactly what you are asking for. So my question to you would be that if Ms. Brubaker provided you with every email that she has saved between her and Ms. Robinson, would that satisfy you from a sunshine point of view?
Absolutely. Her response, which was their official response, and if you all don't have it, I have about 8 copies here.
No, we have that.
Okay, very clearly says there's nothing to talk about here. It says no. Well, that's why I'm saying it's very specific. It's not all over the map what I'm asking for. It says here from their response to the sunshine request.
This is from Ms. Robbins, correct?
To Ms. Osbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your message. We request. I'm
Yeah, we have
paraphrasing. Respect to item 1, the film commission. Quote: the film commission has no record of any film commissioner applying for, receiving written determination or a statement of incompatible activities with 2 emails forwarding the list of possibility of employees or anything else. They have none. That's what they do. They talk all the time. So that's why. Yes, it would help clarify things for me if we could get and see that under the Freedom Act. And last but least is if anybody has a problem with the clarity, you can paraphrase and say everything. This is a 4-paragraph statement I submitted. It's very succinct on what I'm asking for. And if somebody takes a minute or two just to look, I think it might, illuminate exactly what I'm saying.
I mean, really, it's a bit confusing. I'm sorry. Go on.
Ms. Brubaker, okay. Are you willing to provide the emails between yourself and, is it Ms. Robbins or Ms. Robinson? I apologize.
Ms. Robbins.
Yeah.
And I'll try to dig up as many as I can, but I don't keep emails going back very
but
far.
what you have.
Ms. Robbins has the emails.
Ms.
Ms. Robbins can
Robbins.
provide the emails.
As the executive director.
Ms. Robbins should
Assuming.
provide the emails. And there are some between us, but they are pertaining to, are you going to come to the meeting, or is there's a mixer or whatever. Some of them are from Janet.
If that's what he's asking, we just,
sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
So is it appropriate to,
Actually, Ms. Brubaker.
is it appropriate to make a recommendation, asking my task force colleagues for Cliff to do a new sunshine request to Ms. Robbins for the emails between her and Ms. Brubaker, that might be the best way to proceed to get the information that you're looking for?
Or
Which would be handled by
or
Ms.
could we make a recommendation that sends to compliance and amendments? And is that,
Well, we have to find a violation.
I mean, if we were to find a violation? I'm throwing it out there, or which would make the most sense, or whatever.
I think it would be better for Ms. Osbury to
I
work
don't,
it out.
at this point, I don't see a violation, but I would like to get the information that he seemingly is looking for. So I'm trying to find a path for Cliff to be able to get that information. Member Nee.
Just briefly, we could also continue this matter until our next regular meeting, or our next meeting, period, regular or special. And then that would, and give the complainant and the respondent a chance to mend fences on this.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes,
Yeah, of
please.
course.
You can too.
I have a list of the last 5 years of all the shows that have come into San Francisco, and out of those San Francisco shows, there's about 1,600 in 5 years. And
Yeah, we
since
have
I've been
it.
a commissioner, I've worked on 10 of them. I don't get all of them. I've worked on 10.
Okay, thank you.
I think Mr. Cliff wants to speak.
Yes. Just,
Ms. Brubaker's resume, and I think if we all just heard her, she said 10, and I don't know if it's cool, I can hand them out.
Cliff, you know what?
I don't think
There's-
it's
That's not
relevant.
what, yeah, that's not,
Okay.
you know, we
So
want
back
to
to the
get.
back to the rebel
Yeah,
things.
of getting you
Hey,
the.
that sounds like a good idea if we can do that, right? If you can ask them. I was told by Ms. Robbins, unfortunately she's not here tonight, and there was health issues, I understand, that in fact the city can get any of the emails out between two parties, the end, not like this one or that one. So if we want to do it, we should see them.
Continue.
We should see them. It's only for the last 24 months. This is not, Gone with the Wind, and that could be extrapolated from Ms. Robbins, and that would be cool if we could do that. And if you guys want to continue, that'd be even equal cool. So we gotta go home.
Great.
No, respectfully, I don't mean that.
Yes.
No, it's okay.
Well, I think what Member Nee was requesting is that we continue it in that.
The hope.
In that time, you make that request to them, and then they would have to respond.
So would that mean, I'll be happy to do it, but what should I do? How should I, what should I do the proper way?
Member Nee?
Well, at this point, the first thing that has to happen is that we follow through on our procedure with this. We follow through with the complainant, with the respondent's rebuttal and concluding remarks, then the complainant's rebuttal and concluding remarks. Then we ask if there's a motion, and at that time we can move to continue, at which point it falls into the court, if you will, of the complainant and the respondent.
Great.
Okay.
So let's finish this.
Go ahead.
And then let's, okay, well, yes.
For the moment, please be
For
seated.
the moment, yeah. Ms. Brubaker, would you care to, we're going to end it, not end it, but is there a rebuttal or any concluding remarks you want to say? You can have 3 minutes just to kind of.
I would like to say that on the complaint, and it's not a sunshine thing, many of the things that are listed in there are completely fabricated. There's never been a link on my IMDb page to a YouTube video of me being sworn in as a commissioner. I don't even have that on my resume that I'm a commissioner. Some of the projects that he listed on there, like Zeus, it's a 10-minute animation that one of my students did and gave me special thanks. He lists a Samsung commercial that I never did. He lists a movie called Garden of Eden that I wrote a budget for, but I never produced it. He writes, I did a movie called The Wisdom Tree. I was a consulting producer because they made the movie in Fremont. It was a $100,000 movie, and the production manager called me for advice. Neon Sky is my own film. So more than half of the movies he lists, I didn't even do, and or one of them was mine. So it's, I don't know how to respond to this other than I'm just making a living. And I don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars either.
Excuse me.
Oh, your mouth to God's ear.
Thank you. Cliff, would you, I'm sorry. It's Cliff? Okay. You have about 3 minutes to, what we're doing right now is just, give us your rebuttal, give us your concluding
The
remarks.
rebuttal is I would like ask for a continuance, and some of these people we mentioned tonight can come in and talk, and maybe Ms. Robbins can appear, and also to get this information that would clarify who's right and who's wrong on the emails. I think they would speak in their public records, and part of the Sunshine Act, they would speak to what's what. It would tell the tale. And you know what? I'm standing here, I'm standing in front of it and all that. That will tell the tale if I'm right and if I'm wrong, and I post all those things as questions. So that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there, I need to know if there's a motion to find a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance?
Well, I would kind of like to build on Member Nee's idea that he had a couple of minutes ago to continue with the recommendation that Cliff work perhaps through our administrator to send an email, to send a request to Ms. Robbins for all emails between her and Ms. Brubaker between the time frame that you're looking for. That would be my, I don't know if, do you need to make a motion to do that?
Yes.
Yes, so I would make a motion to do for that. Does that make sense?
Yes. So
my motion is to continue with the suggestion that Cliff work through Ms. Osbury to be in touch with, to make a records request to Ms. Robbins, the Executive Director of the Film Commission, for all emails between Ms. Robbins and Ms. Brubaker for the time frame. That's okay.
Second, and I would like to make a friendly amendment that the continuance be specified to the task force's next meeting.
Till next month.
Accepted.
Great. It has been moved and seconded. Are there any members of the public who'd like to speak on this issue that haven't spoken on this already? If not, I'd like to take a...
No. You've already spoken on this matter. Public comment is off limits.
Sorry.
Too bad, I liked her.
Madam Clerk, can you please take a roll call vote on that?
Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Washburn? Aye. Washburn, aye. Sims?
Aye.
Sims, aye. David?
Aye.
David, aye. Oka?
Reluctantly, aye.
Oka, aye. Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Grant?
Aye.
Grant, aye. There are 7 ayes.
Great. So it's been moved and seconded to continue this issue.
What's the date? I know I'll be notified. Do you have a date?
For our next meeting?
February 6th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So we have, Madam Clerk, items 9 through 14, which is the approval of the different minutes. I don't know if, I'd like to suggest that I don't know if there's been any issues on this, but I'd like to suggest that we continue that till the next meeting,
Yeah,
since it's a bit late.
Can go home
So I don't know if someone would like to make a motion for that.
I'll make that motion. Oh, okay. Mr. Oka moved. I second.
Great. Did I say for 9 to 17 is what I would like?
Yes.
Great. If so, then
Adjourn.
is there any public comment?
I would say amend to say 9 through 16.
9 through 16. Yeah, thank you. Will you amend that, 9 through 16?
Peter Warfield, I hope that there will be some review of the unfortunate state of most of the minutes that I've looked at here, and I think that I've commented on some of them before. I don't think that they meet the minimum requirements of the Sunshine Ordinance, and certainly not the requirements that I think you should have for yourselves, that you have good minutes and even exemplary minutes. These minutes that I've seen continue to give, for example, names of members of the public who have spoken, and at best state in some vague way a topic that they spoke about without giving an indication whatsoever whether they were for or against something, or the content of their concern. And I think that when the time comes, I hope that if I'm not here, that will be remembered. You do get folks who try and do their homework, and I think should pay attention to prior and current comments. For example, on page 276, Peter Warfield, under public comment item 5 for December the 5th, Peter Warfield expressed concern for pending complaints and backlog. Well, what was the concern? Was I concerned that they didn't have enough blankets to keep warm? It's completely unclear what that was about. There's, with regard to a request to postpone the hearing on complaint number 12019, there's no clue whatsoever about what was the reasoning. It says, Peter Warfield, complainant, provided an overview of the reasoning for his request for continuance. There's no content to that whatsoever. Nobody would know from that. But the simple reason was that the agenda item, in my opinion, was incorrect and improper and would have limited you inappropriately to dealing with only part of the complaint. But none of that is clear, and these minutes go on, and I think a really unfortunate, and that's putting it mildly, an unfortunate way that simply does not meet the sunshine requirement to summarize public comment. I hope you will address that either in the meantime or when these come up, and otherwise don't object to your passage of putting these forward to another date. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So our next meeting is February 6th. Go back. February 6th. And if there are any comments, anything, announcements, or anything like that?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes, I wish to report that it is highly unlikely that I will be at the February 6th meeting. I am scheduled for a surgical operation on February 5th, and it's fortunately it involves a benign tumor, but there will be a recuperation period of at least a week, and maybe 2, maybe 3. So
you will be missed.
I will. Thank you. Thank you.
And be well.
I will. It's highly unlikely I'll be here for the next meeting.
Thank you so much. We all wish you a speedy recovery, obviously.
Thank you.
We will keep you informed of everything that's going on.
Allison's going to
If there's anything else, I'd like to move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
One hit. That's it.
Oops. Sorry. Go on. You have a public comment about this?
I do.
Great. It's on a different issue.
Perhaps the chair needs a complaint filed at the Ethics Commission or at the Sunshine Task Force about her repeated inability to remember that the public has a role here. With respect to item 17, certainly I wish a full and speedy recovery to the member, and appreciate very much his many years of good service to the task force. And if I were a member, and if there were a bylaw, I would certainly consider this an absence that could and should be excused. With respect to future agenda items, which I didn't hear discussed, you need to get a work plan and to discuss how you're going to get through your backlog. You've had your head in the sand about this since the new commission has started meeting. You have a very considerable backlog. And you're not taking that many complaints per evening. So unless you have a secret plan, and even if you do, it needs to be discussed and to be revealed to the public, many of whom, like myself, have been waiting for months and even the better part of a year to get the justice that is in the ordinance presumed to be coming with reasonable speed. And as they say, justice delayed is justice denied. One of the disconcerting things about some of the complaints that have dragged on is that, with respect, for example, to the Bernal.
Point of order. Mr. Warfield's comments, while certainly they're appreciated, are not addressing the motion of whether we should adjourn.
I'm speaking on item 17, namely announcements, comments,
you're
questions.
speaking on, you're making general public comments, sir, and we need, there's a motion to adjourn. That's what we have here.
Well, I think you already adjourned and you didn't take public comment on 17.
So I am taking
or
public
18.
comment now, so if you have comments about the adjournment,
I
I'd
have
love to hear.
comments about number 17, namely announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items,
But we're
which you
talking
did
about
not
adjournment.
take public comment on. So can I make a public comment on item 17?
You're in the middle of it. Please feel free to finish up.
So you urgently need to have a work plan so that the execution order on the Bernal Heights Branch Library mural, which was carried out on October the 4th, doesn't hit before a complaint made in March gets heard.
Thank you. There is a motion to adjourn this meeting. It has been seconded. If there is no objection from any of the members, I would like to move that we adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much.
Here in the city.
Unfortunately, I was getting leg cramps in the middle of the meeting. I know.
Hey, Julie.
I'm about to air it. We don't circulate it now for some. It is a cast of characters today, that's for sure.
And he's like, that's getting big.
That's what I was hoping you drove today.
Moved.
I have
Mr. Warfield. Don't go away. Don't go away.
Is it painful?
Good luck in your surgery.
It looks really cool, though. I noticed it when I walked by.
You noticed what?
He's got a big lump behind his ear. It looks really cool.
Are you taking this anyway? It's
Where are you going?
No, is Alex?
Oh, she's going to. Okay.
Plus, it's near important things. Salivary gland. Yeah. Salivary gland. Yeah.